Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you to the nation of China for the second round in XRRL's Extreme Realistic Racing League series, where we do 100% lawn races, and the big kicker is the fastest drivers are in the slowest cars, and the slowest drivers are in the fastest cars. I'm your host, Insane Lear 13. We're going to be looking at a similar event today than what we did last week, with about 13 to 14 people showing up for this race. So qualifying session 1 is still anticipated to be more of a glorified test session more than anything else, assuming that, no one toasts their car in the event. I'm going to be running at China in about a week's time. Then the series will sync up with X1, X2, X3 as they do their randomized shortened schedules. But for right now, this weekend, all the focus is going to be on this event for the drivers here. For the drivers who are going to be representing today in the Williams team, it's going to be XRRL Ultimate and MCR Path. For the Haas team, it's going to be Beard Boost and A. Waddington. In the Alfa Romeo team, it's going to be Ollie M. Pinquo. In the Racing Point, Yun Maneuver is there. For the Renault team, it's Danny JJ A02. In the McLaren team, it's going to be PPR Venom representing. For the Aston Martin team, XRL Zola is going to be representing. King F12089 is going to be representing the Ferrari team, and for the Mercedes team, it's going to be XRL Seal and XRL Herbie. We should be getting underway with qualifying here relatively shortly, in about 2 minutes or so. We're still anticipating that either Ledger Low or Pinquo should be able to show up, hopefully before we get too far into the qualifying itself. Stand by real quickly as we look at the circuit. It's China. A very interesting circuit. Not the greatest when it comes to overtaking, but not quite the greatest when it comes to technicality. It's kind of a track that does a lot of everything, but doesn't really excel in any one area. But it can still put on some interesting events. For X3 in this season that just ended, when they ran here at China, it was almost all in the rain, which made it very interesting because the track was very slick in the run down to the long back straightaway, which gave you a lot of drivers trying to fight to control their cars properly. Should be underway shortly here. And like I said, there's still 1 to 3 drivers they're anticipating will show up before we get too far underway here. Alright, we're getting word that they're going to be getting underway right now to load up the qualifying session. There's also a potential that we may have another part-time driver / commentator join us in the booth in a little bit here, but we've not gotten a confirmed word whether or not they're actually going to show or not. As preparing to get underway here, should be looking at 13 drivers. And again, there is a possibility 1 to 3 more will show up before we get too deep into qualifying here. If they're not, though, this will basically be a glorified practice session. 1 second. All right. Well, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, here, at least it's not going to be my voice who ends up driving you all insane alone. In here in the booth, we have Root Beer King. He's going to be sharing the booth with us, so that way we have a little bit more to talk about and bounce back and forth with. How are you doing, Root Beer King, as we load into the qualifying session here at China?
Well, it's definitely been a bit of a rush for me, but I must say, during the off season for XRRL X2, I must say this will definitely be interesting because I've never fully participated in a full race before. Well, of course, this was an entirely new thing cooked up by the admins, Zola and Lopez, and I must say it's definitely an interesting thing to see out of the normal X1, X2, and X3 and dev races.
No, I do have to absolutely agree here. The other thing I think that makes it very interesting is that because of the way that the faster drivers are locked to slower cars and slower cars are locked to faster drivers, you get very, very interesting setups when it comes to how qualifying and race pace shakes out in the first third of the race.
Yeah, because absolutely. I mean, now we have to add a little bit of endurance in the factor. For all of the endurance XRL racers, this is going to be a cakewalk for them, but for the other normal XRL drivers, they're going to have a bit of a tough time with full-on qualifying and full race.
For those of you who weren't here last week, which regrettably you were one of them, at Circuit of the Americas, it was dry qualifying, but the entire race was soaked in water. Out of 14 starters, only 7 drivers were able to finish the race. So just being able to endure and have a proper setup for whatever the track throws at you in itself is a very, very important element here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not any Nürburgring or Le Mans, but for any scale of the matter, but it's definitely not going to be normal, and it's going to be definitely interesting to see what kind of strategies we'll be looking at from, the normal, usually only 2 stops during a race.
Well, we saw at Circuit of the Americas a one-stop strategy was the king, just like in the preseason test race at Catalunya. One-stop strategy was king, but it normally relies on sacrificing so much time. First driver out into the circuit in that pink Tracing Point Mercedes, it is Young Maneuver. He's a newcomer to this league. I don't know if he's been in XRL X1 or X2. He may be there, and I've just not seen him, but he's a new face for me, at least.
He's going to be a bit of a new face for me, too. I've never seen a Young Maneuver in a XRL X1 or at least X2. And also, I must say, about his number, nice. Yeah, full 16, or was it like 20-minute qualifying when
18-minute Q1.
So 18-minute Q1. I must say, though, it's going to be extremely interesting because there's only 15 drivers competing today in this Chinese Grand Prix.
13.
Oh. 13 then.
Yeah. There are more drivers who signed up and could have the opportunity to jump in potentially midway through the session, but we don't know if they're going to be here or not, so.
Right. Well, I must say, some of these faces are some of me, and I must say, Beard Boost is, well, doing what he does best, really. He likes to hold back. His main thing, he likes to hold back to see what the other drivers are doing, and then going out to do his hot lap at very, very short notice. This is just kind of, I suppose, Beard Boost's attitude towards at least most of the racing leagues he competes in. Now going to X1. I must say, with the clouds out, it could be that we could have a bit of a wet session. You just never know.
No, and you make a good point about Beard Boost, your X2 champion. I got the pleasure to cover a few X2 races while he was on his championship cruise. Very reserved in the car, doesn't really make a whole lot of noise on the track, but that's mainly because he's usually so far away from everybody else. But now he's in the Haas, which arguably is the second slowest car in the field, second or third slowest car in the field. So being in a car that gives him a massive disadvantage, will be very interesting to see how he stacks up against other X2 drivers, or even some of the X1 drivers like Pinkuo or Zola. So
absolutely, and with no XRRL Ultimate to be seen, at least just yet, it seems that Beard Boost won't be having as quote-unquote direct confrontation with any of the drivers. I bet he'll be streaking out ahead like he usually does, but this time with no Ultimate in the way. However,
Ultimate's definitely going to try and get in the way because he's in Sector 3 right now and just had Purple Sector 2.
Oh, there's Ultimate. Found him. Hello. So anyways, yeah, I mean, wanting to put up a fantastic fight last season in XRRL X2 during CODIS, Circuit of the Americas, and he actually won that race, so I wonder when he's cooking up in that mind of his, just thinking of how he's gonna try his best to win the race. And now with Young Maneuver now posting a 132.7 and King F1 posting a 147.8. It is still a bit of a, oh, now Ultimate. Yep, there we go. The Ultimate dominance.
Steel.
Oh, now
Steel goes to top now. 132.194.
I'm telling you, man, these drivers are so good that the qualifying board always fluctuates between just how skilled the drivers are. And with Beard Boost out of his outlap and now going it through for his flying lap, and let me tell you something, I can sense from that Haas car, and Beard Boost will be going all out. He is not wanting to be behind today because it's either here or either at the back of the grid or at the front of the grid. He doesn't want to be anywhere near the middle.
The biggest benefit of having so few cars in the race, it means that Q1 basically becomes a glorified test session. Drivers like Zola, who only has a 155 right now, will still make it into Q2 without issue, assuming that a bunch of extra drivers don't suddenly show up.
Yeah, let me tell you, if the cavalry is gonna come, it is going to just be heyday for Zola and the rest of the field. To say the least, anyways.
MCR Path has just crossed the start-finish line. He is saying a time of 134.092 in the Williams. Path is going to be one of the most interesting ones to look at. There's no doubt that he has talent. The doubt, though, is that the car is properly set up, considering the Williams is supposed to be the slowest in the field right now. As you see him overtaking, I believe that's King on the racing circuit. And he's now entering the second sector of the racetrack. I'll be interested to see what he's going to do, because he's running on the medium tire compounds right now.
And as Ultimate retires from the session, it could be that, you know, Beard Boosted Ultimate being at least in a, if you will, in a race of their own in X2, perhaps they're feeling once more just that overwhelming sense of confidence, and so they're gonna retire early when they feel its best. Because once again, we have still around 10 minutes to go. Anything can happen, basically.
The biggest thing you don't want to do is end up totaling your car. Right now, that drops you automatically to the back of the grid, and you won't have any more laps to properly get the event set up. You won't be able to set up tire strategy, anything. It could be the worst thing that could happen. Of note, real quickly, when it comes to tire choices, King F1 and MCR Path are both on the mediums. Everyone else is on the softs with 3 exceptions. Zola, Beard Boost, and Pinkuo, those 3 drivers are all running intermediate tires right now. They do not think there is a serious threat of rain in the event, so they're just burning off a set of intermediates, not worried about making it into the race itself.
Absolutely, and if there's any form of racing rule book to explain the art of racing. It is that you need a killer qualifying time to maybe push yourself into a good position to win something like this Grand Prix.
Steele and Zola are both retiring from the session. They both feel very confident. Again, we are currently at 14 drivers on track right now, in the session, 14 drivers in the session. We have word that there is a possibility we might get 2 more. If we do get 2 more drivers, then there is a possibility we may see a last-minute knockout from Q1, but doesn't seem super likely right now. And you see a bunch of drivers now retiring from the session. No need to continue turning laps if you feel that you're basically guaranteed to make it into qualifying session 2.
Absolutely, and that's the thing about Q1. I mean, you can push hard, but there's sometimes not a real reason to. You can just basically push as hard as you want, either get at the back of the front of the field, and that's basically job done. As long as you don't total your car into T1, that's pretty much the main concern. But if I'm gonna be honest, most of these drivers coming from X2, I know them by going loud and lights out at multiple Grand Prix. And let me tell you something, these are absolute clean drivers. It's been very few that I've seen crash out, that usually being the infield of Penku and sometimes even Zola and Fiend.
I will say this, I have seen a little, I typically specialize in the X3 broadcast, I typically see a little bit more instance there, but a lot of the time it's not due to the drivers, as much as it is just really, really poor track design, like Sochi Turn 1, for instance.
Yeah, Russia's not really what you can say the best track in the world, but it's a Grand Prix on the calendar. We go through it.
Right now, only 2 drivers are left on the circuit who have yet to set a lap time. Ollie is one of them in the Alfa Romeo, and Lowe is the other one in the McLaren. Ollie is on an out lap right now. Lowe is in the middle of a flying lap. He has set a purple Sector 1 with a 24.193 as he's waving through the twisty bits in Sector 2.
Absolutely. The S-bends are definitely tricky to get right at Shanghai. It's very much like Circuit of the Americas and Suzuka. You either set yourself up correctly for the S-bends and do it right, or you enter into one of the S-bends, you're pretty much going to mess up the rest of the way through. It's very much a time for accuracy and being a little bit of a perfectionist, if I'm going to be honest.
Well, here's hoping that he was able to maximize that perfectionism, because he's coming down to the end of the hairpin at that back straightaway. Once he rounds that, there'll only be 1 more corner. Every driver has retired from the session thus far except for Lowe and Ollie and MCR Path. Now Path has retired from the session, so it's literally just left to Lowe and Ollie to set their final times. Once they do, Lowe is now 7 time.
Flyer with a 132.2. Absolutely incredible. I bet he's patting himself on the back in the cockpit. Now it's all eyes on Ollie after Lowe's fantastic qualifying, pretty much last-minute quali lap, as we come now to 6 minutes left of Q1. Ollie has yet to make a time. So far with no purple sectors, so I don't think he's going to be going for the fastest. I think it's just going to go somewhere in the midfield. I think that's where he's looking.
Not have to be the fastest driver, you just need to set a time. There are only 14 cars in this grid, so just don't total your car, set a lap time, you will automatically advance into qualifying session 2. Ollie has 2 more turns to go to set his time.
Yes, once the Alfa Romeo, I know Ollie, and he is definitely up there with Beard Boost and Ultimate in X2. He's definitely a stellar driver. I'm expecting fantastic results from him today because, well, his experience, it's just phenomenal. But of course, background is only one bit of the large picture that is Formula One. It's all about what is the here and now. What can they do here and now? And so far, that is not a purple Sector 1. But let's see how well he can do in the S-bends.
Lowe has pulled it into the pit road. He is low on fuel, although his ERS is at max, and I imagine he may consider retiring from the session. No need to push harder. And yes, he has retired, so Ollie is now the only car on track. Now the question is, will he try and set a faster lap, or will he go ahead and retire from the session early? If he does, I believe that would bring the premature end to qualifying session 1.
Absolutely. Although not the fastest time, he's definitely been the most consistent. I mean, looking at the lines through the S-bends, he's definitely pulled off definitely a decent lap with now 4 minutes left to go. Still all eyes on the red and white Alfa Romeo.
And he will bring it into the pit lane. His fuel is very low. He invalidates the lap coming into the pits, but it's not like it's going to matter. He's going to come in. Now the question is, will he retire from the session? And if he does, that will bring it into Q1. Yes, he does. So Q1 will prematurely end after all 14 drivers set their lap early. And we will advance to Q2 in a very short period of time here.
Okay, I guess Insane, you can round out the top full team.
Yep. Well, Beardboo, Zola, and Pinqua were all running intermediates, and they're going to be 14th, 13th, and 12th. In the 11th and 10th positions, it's MCR Path and Keen F12089. They're running medium tires. Everyone in the top 9 were running softs. Ollie in the Alpha, Waddington in the Haas, Young Maneuver in the Racing Point, Herbie in the Mercedes, Danny JJA02 in the Renault, XRRL in the McLaren, XRRL Ultimate in the Williams, XRRL Steel in the Mercedes, and PPR Venom in the McLaren. Right now, the McLaren seems to be the strongest team, but this is where things actually get serious. So you need to actually set a good time to make it into Q3 in this session, Q2.
Yep, it's all about consistency through the qualifying laps, but when we go loud and lights out, it's basically a wild card. You could either get a fantastic start on the rest of the grid, or you could go into T1 and get wrecked or wreck somebody and get a DNF.
There's a lot of movement right now in the Mercedes pit, and it looks like they're going to try and bring XRRL Herbie out as soon as they can.
Same thing with Steel
following shortly afterwards.
And actually, the first car to come out of the pits, I think that's an Alpha. And then
that's Ollie's car.
Oh, Ollie.
Yep, in the Alpha, you got it dead on.
Now King coming out in the Scarlet Scuderia Ferrari. Just definitely, wow, okay, everybody's going out. They're saying, okay, we're ready to get this done. Let's get it done. And
there's a relatively even, there's a relatively even split right now between medium and soft tire compounds. It'll be interesting to see how that changes. One of the most interesting things within XRL, in qualifying session 2, you'll have the first about half of it run with drivers running for strategy. They don't focus too much on tire choice. And then when you get to the last 6 or so minutes, drivers start freaking out. They throw strategy out the window to try and jump onto softer tires to see if that will get them a chance into Q3. And we've seen that sometimes it will work for them, but it ends up compromising their actual race pace itself. It makes for a very, very interesting way for Q2 to develop.
Indeed. However, I do understand at least around near half of the field, including Ultimate, Young, Herbie, Waddington, and Venom and Danny, and then Ollie, wanting to get those mediums out of the way, but it might actually help them during the race. Minimal pit stops for the cost of grip for the track, but there's also another. It's just all about strategy. Even though the soft compound tire does make you the quickest, it doesn't mean you'll be the complete quickest for the entire Grand Prix. It's all about strategy.
And again, the one-stop strategy has been very, very efficient over the last events in the XRRL series. So if a driver starts on the mediums and is able to jump onto hards and make that last the entire race, they could be in a very good position.
Absolutely, but some strategies work better than others, and I think that's Steel. Yeah, that's Steel slow.
He has damage on the front wing, so something has happened to that car coming out of that really, really technical first part of the circuit. That's going to be a long way around before they can replace that front wing.
Yes, indeed. As Steele once more goes on the outside, I think the other reason why he's doing this is that way he doesn't harm any other cars when he rejoins the track, as he now gets invalidated, as pretty much everybody was expecting, to be honest. But yeah, he's gonna be yeah, it's as you say, it's gonna be a definite long way to go for him to limp all the way back to the pits.
Ollie, the first driver who got on track, is setting himself up to be the first driver to set a lap time and begin setting the pace for the event. He's on the medium tires coming out of the last quarter and across the line. The time he will set will be a 1:33.956. So that's the starting bar for everyone to go after, although very shortly he's going to be joined by one of the Williams, that's Ultimate, who has crossed the line 1:33.398, also on the medium tire compounds. Now Venom goes across in the McLaren with a 1:32.456. Ollie has crossed in the 1:33.956.
And then Waddington.
No drivers. What?
I'm just gonna go ahead and say Waddington and Penku decide to join the qualifying time party, with Waddington going with a 1:33.6, Penku with a 1:32.8. Fantastic for Penku. Danny JJ going with a 1:33.4, and that pretty sets up at least half of the grid. So yeah. As
Right now, Path is the only car on track who has yet to set a time, who isn't in the pit lane, so he will be the next one to take note of. He's currently running through the twisty sections in the first section of the circuit.
Oh, and that's another slow car, and that's Ultimate. I'm guessing he's just trying to go slow to conserve fuel. That would make sense. But
fuel light is on the dashboard of the car, so he will have to pit this lap.
Absolutely, and it's either you go with the slow crawl approach, or you go with the, okay, get this done quick approach. And so far, it's looking like he's going for the latter, the very get in the pits quick approach. And to be honest, I don't honestly criticize him. I mean, to be honest, I think that would be...
Oh! He
yeah,
just ran into Waddington! Yeah, he just ran into Waddington coming into the pits!
Oh, and he smashes the 80 pit board as he comes in.
Now, there isn't any significant damage as far as I can tell on Waddington's car. The impact is very squarely on the rear tires, and the tires don't seem to cut down very often. But ultimately, we'll have to swap the wing if they want to get him out there and try and turn more laps in the session. Path to the top, 1:32.207. Of note, though, he's on the soft tire compound, so I'll be interested to see if some of the drivers decide to jump onto softs to try and match those times. One driver who is on the softs right now and preparing to set a lap is King F12089. I'm just going to call him King F1. He's in the Ferrari and running through the second sector of the track, about to enter the third. He's running the soft tire compounds, and we can expect he will set a lap time in about 2 minutes. It'll be interesting to see what he can do with that Ferrari.
And unlike most of these some of these drivers anyways, King F1 is all alone. No backup, no teammates. And so that puts a little bit of more emphasis on him, because he's the only one who can maybe carry Scuderia Ferrari to victory or defeat. As Path is still holding the line with his 1:32.2. Definitely going to be, I guess, looking at a bit of a challenge for the rest of these drivers. As I believe that's Herbie right behind Steele. No, that's Steele right behind King. So looking to be an interesting qualifying session. There's not really many people. Well, they haven't retired yet. I guess they're just. I guess you could just say they're looking, what's going on as Steele sets up a purple sector 1. Very good. And
Zola
Zola
just put the second fastest time, 132.216, and that's on the mediums.
definitely very impressive for all the medium compound drivers, but I bet their experience in other leagues in the XRL league. Oh, and Steele invalidates his lap time. That's such a shame. The 79 Mercedes machine could have pulled off such an incredible lap time with that purple sector 1, but it seems it was not meant to be. Yeah, as I was saying before, yeah, these guys are, I guess you could call them professionals, definitely veterans of the XRL League. So they definitely understand how the car works, how to get into tune with the track, and how to run a decent race.
Of interesting note, King is still out on the circuit in the middle of a clean lap, so he will set a time, but assuming he doesn't bring it into the pits, but he's way off pace and wanting to retire from the session. He feels no need to continue pushing.
And that's King with a 142.7. Definitely not his fastest lap time, but now he's from that definite aggression that I saw from the red machine. It definitely seems now he's gonna dig in deep. He's gonna try and search all of the times that he can get to get the shortest way possible. So yeah, I definitely feel King during this lap. He feels this is gonna be the one. This is gonna be the one that gets him at least in the top 5 as Zola retires from the session.
Jan Maneuver will be the next driver to set a lap time. He's going into the final corner right now. He's running the medium tire compounds. And across the line, he will be the 11th driver to set a lap time. It will be a 133.459. So right now, the medium tire compounds very well represented, and I'm not seeing a lot of drivers rushing to pit road to hurriedly switch to the soft. So we may see a lot of drivers trying to replicate the one-stop strategy, which has brought victory in the last points paying race and in the preseason race for this series.
Absolutely. As the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it seems that it's definitely being demonstrated today as Venom now retires from the session, along with before him Waddington and Zola. However, I'm looking on Beer Boost. He's at a purple sector 1. I know Beard Boost, he does not like to give minimal effort. He likes to give it all out. And I bet that this will show as he goes through Sector 2 and soon now on to Sector 3. King definitely has dug deep and secured P4 with a 132.5. Yeah, I feel great for King. I mean, from an okay qualifying time, the lap beforehand, to now being in the top 5. That is just remarkable. But once again, my eyes are on Beer Boost, and I'm going to tell you right now, he's looking somewhere in the top 3. He doesn't look to be anywhere else but at the top.
XRRL has set a lap a few seconds ago of a 133.286. That's the 3rd fastest of all the cars who have run on medium tires. There goes Beard Boost. You were pointing him out, top 3 the entire time. Your prediction has come true, 132.398. But he's still off pace compared to the Red Bull of Zola, who is running the medium tire compound. So now the question, in Beard Boost's mind, I imagine, is going to be, well, do I push harder and try to beat him, or do I sit with the 3rd right now?
And if I know Beer Boost, well, I think he's going to go with the former. I think he's going to go all out. Oh, no, and my prediction is incorrect. It seems that he's starting to slow. I'm guessing he's just coming in to retire and saying, that's enough. I think top 3 will suit just nicely.
Herbie is dead last in the qualifying grid right now. He's on another flying lap. He was up by about 1/100th of a second at the end of Sector 1 as he goes through the technical Sector 2 right now. He needs to find a way to make up a significant amount of time because the gap between 14th and his teammate, who's 10th right now, is roughly 9/10ths of a second. He's actually down on time. He's now 8/10ths slower than he was before, so it's not looking very promising for Herbie right now. He doesn't have a lot of ERS in that machine either. So unless he's able to make up godly amounts of time on the back straight, it's not going to go well for him.
Absolutely, and with yellow flags going up because of Beer Boost slowing, it's definitely seeing that this Q2 session is already starting to wind down as Path retires from the session. All eyes on Herbie. What can he do? Can he improve and do at least as well as he did in...
He improved, but not very much. He only improved by about 1/10. That's not going to be enough to significantly change anything. Also, note, Waddington is 12th on the timesheets, but he's already retired from the session. And Danny goes off. Danny just went off there in the runoff in Sector 1. He's back on the circuit now, but that Renault kind of shot off track for a moment. I'm not sure if he was trying to clear the track for the Williams ahead of him or if he had a difficult esports moment with those brakes. But he is back on the track now. He's in the middle of an outlap. He has 1 minute and 16 seconds to get back to the line. He is 11th right now and needs to take off roughly 5/100ths in order to knock out Ultimate and advance himself into Q3.
Absolutely, and with Waddington securing his place and Beer Boost now retiring from the session, it's all eyes on the guys who are not in the top 10. Danny, Ollie, and Herbie, because Waddington has already retired from the session, so he's pretty much put a pin in that there and said, okay, that's gonna be enough. But yeah, Herbie, Ollie, Danny, all have to find a way to pass Ultimate, who's in 10th right now, which is, I'm gonna be honest, a bit of a surprise for me. But so yeah, definitely once more a mixed race from these drivers. They're definitely not a complete order. However, something that is, I feel that is pretty constant, that being a Beard Boost usually being at the front.
Ollie was able to improve on his prior lap and improved him enough to get by Waddington, but he's still roughly a full 10th off of Ultimate. Danny still needs to take off about 5/10ths, but Danny did make it to the start-finish line before time is up. So right now, we're in the middle of the laps to see who can change. Also of note, Pinkwo is on soft tires out there, and I wonder if he might be trying to improve. Young Maneuver has pulled off the circuit. He's running medium tires, and his fuel is very low, so he's not going to attempt to improve. Ultimate is invalidated his current lap, so he has no way to improve. 10th is the best he can hope for, and he better hope that the Renault, Mercedes, and Alpha behind him are not able to improve. Danny right now has entered Sector 3, and he's roughly 3/10ths up at the end, and Ollie is currently bringing it into the pits. He is not going to be able to improve. He has abandoned his attempt at going farther up. Herbie's lap has ended, so now all focus is on Danny. Will Danny be able to overtake Ultimate and get into Q3?
Well, with unfortunately the clock ticking to 0, Danny has no time left. He's gonna do what he deal with what he's got on his plate, and he has to see how well he can do it through this final corner. What is he gonna get? And it's gonna look like
it's good enough for 9th.
Right, he's definitely qualified for Q3. Definite fantastic I guess Q2 session with Danny. And so yeah, with 1 minute and 24 seconds remaining, the only one on track right now is Ultimate, and he's coming into the pits.
So that means that qualifying session 2 has an end brought to it. Ultimate unable to set a clean lap at the end, leaves him open for attack to the Renault of Danny, and Danny has advanced into Q3. Ultimate will not, and he will join the list of Ollie, Waddington, and Herbie of drivers who will not be able to go on into Q3. Also of note, we now know that Lowe, Danny, Young Maneuver, Venom, and Zola will all be starting the race on mediums. Steel, Keen F1, Pinkwo, Beard Boost, and MCR Path will be starting the race on soft tire compounds.
Indeed, with all eyes looking on Q3, it's basically a, once again, a shuffle of cards for now the top 10 drivers. That being MCR Path, Zola, Beard Boost, Pinkwo, Venom, King, Steel, Young Maneuver, Danny and Lowe, all being in the top 10 and looking for that Q3 spot. With Ultimate, Ollie, Waddington, and Herbie not being able to qualify near the top 10, they will be out for the Q3 session. Unfortunately, Ultimate picked up a nasty 5-second 5-second time penalty. I think that's for position. Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is, because he's 11th and there's only 14 cars in the race, that just basically means that he gets relegated from 11th to dead last in the field. It's only a loss of 3 positions, though, so I'm not sure if it's actually going to have any significant impact on his race.
Well, I guess we'll just have to see of what unfolds here at China.
Alright, well, 10 cars will be coming onto the circuit, and here's an interesting thing. Steele has apparently equipped a medium tire compound to his cars right at the start of Q3. I'm not 100% sure what the strategy is there. As they say in the films, bold strategy, Patton. Let's see if it pays off. As we see the first drivers coming out onto the circuit right now, and the one leading the field is going to be Danny, by the looks of it, Danny JJ in that Renault.
Absolutely, and now with around 12 minutes to go, or now 11 minutes to go, all 10 of these drivers have a chance to make it on pole, or at least in the top 5, and that's where they're going to be looking at least somewhere near the front or the rear. There's a definite chance in the midfield that you could be collected if there is a quote-unquote big one. But so far, Lowe is going for his outlap, and I mean, just look at that line. He is driving with pure sheer confidence, and that's what mainly takes. What it takes to do a decent lap time here in China is going full commit and full confidence in your machine and your capabilities and the tires.
Right now, everyone is either out on the track or coming out to the circuit with one exception, and that is the Red Bull Honda machine of XRRL Zola. He is still in the pit lane, although it looks like he is now beginning his exit from the circuit. There's, thankfully, with only 10 cars left, there's enough clean track that as long as drivers are willing to give themselves some room here at the start, everyone will be able to set a lap without too much of an issue cleanly. As our first drivers are crossing the line, and yeah, I don't know what's going on in the Mercedes camp, but Steele honestly seems to think that running a medium tire compound in Q3 is the best option. I know that's not a mistake, because he's still out there on the racetrack right now, getting a flying lap as we speak.
Indeed, we're just gonna have to see what Steele is cooking up in that Mercedes, pod, if you will. Seeing what he can do here with medium tires. The only one with medium tires in the top 10 in the field of Q3. It's definitely interesting to see that one little outlier from the rest of the soft compound cars.
Kicked the rear end of that Merc a little bit sideways there in the hairpin at the start of Sector 2. Still right there behind the Haas of Beard Boost, although Beard Boost is starting to pull a gap on him right now through the twisty bits. And I think the gap's going to be big enough that Steele won't get any significant DRS advantage going down the straight.
Yes, indeed. With Steele has been doing, I guess what you can say, okay during these past qualifying sessions, but mainly a bit of a mid to the back of the grid with his teammate Tiguris at X2. With Danny, the first one to post a lap time with a 131.7. Lowe now overtaking him with a 131.72. And
King joins the party, 131.834.
Oh, that's Steele! Steele's out of the race! Steele was going loose, and he got it pretty much in the opposite of the wall of champions. Oh dear, yeah, that is the right front off. Wow. Ooh, that's not going to be too good for him.
Very interesting. I have to wonder if maybe there's an issue where he didn't feel confident with the car's handling. We know the Mercedes drivers, Steele being one of them, have been struggling with making sure the Mercedes handle well under racing conditions. They've had a lot of trouble keeping their cars on the track, and I have to wonder if maybe he ran the mediums because although there's less grip, it also means it's a little slower and he'd be a little bit, ideally at least, it would be a little easier for him to keep the car on the racetrack. Of note, Penquo is now bringing it into the pit lane right now, as MCR Path is going to zoom by and set a lap time of 132.094 in the Williams. With the Mercedes of Steele knocked out, it's up to Yun Maneuver and MCR Path to bring some representation to the Mercedes powertrains here.
Absolutely.
Venom to the top. 131.070, and the McLarens continue to be strong in qualifying. They're now 1-2 at the top of the timesheets right now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, these McLarens are just so quick for the field, and plus with Venom and Lowe being experienced drivers, it just seems like a fairly winning combination for Team McLaren, as now Young Maneuver coming into the pits. With currently the top of the board being with Venom with a 131.0, and then Lowe behind him with a 131.7. All of these drivers have everything to play for it here as we now clock down to 6 minutes left of Q3.
Penquo is the one driver left who has yet to set a lap time. He knows that, his team knows that, because right now that car has come back out onto the circuit in the twisty bits. That is the first, I don't know how many turns you could pull out of that first bit in Sector 1, but he's in that section of the track right now, warming up his tires, and we will probably see a lap time from him in about 2.5 minutes.
Penku, he's got pretty much everything to play for here in the realistic XRRL league. With this sort of confidence in what he can do, unfortunately he's been mainly a backmarker in X2, and indeed has had his fair share of DNFs. So it'll be definitely interesting to see how Penku fares with the rest of the field in this new racing format. Will this lengthened format be of benefit to Penku? Or will it play as once more his Achilles heel? We're just gonna have to find out. As King is out on his outlap, I think he feels he can do maybe a little bit better, somewhere closer to the maybe to the 131.7s of Danny and Lowe, just basically 1/100th of a second. But that's all he has to do to get somewhere near the top 3, top 2 spot. As Penku comes to pit again, that's interesting.
And Danny has now come out onto the track, and he's going to try and improve. He's going to have a long way to go if he wants to beat Venom. That's a good 7/10 second gap, but between the Danny and Lowe, the gap is much smaller, only 600. So Danny has a potential front row starting spot in the cards here if he can just play his cards properly. 3 minutes and 58 seconds left in the session, so if you wanted to, you could rush out into the track now and potentially set another faster lap time. That's what we see Venom doing and Zola doing right now. I'm not seeing much else movement on pit lane at the moment, though. And yeah, you're right, and Keen. I accidentally ignored King. Please forgive me. I do not ever want to smite the great name of Ferrari. It was honestly not intended.
Absolutely not. With King still being in a 4th position, it seems that he's going to continue having to batter, trying to find some more time through the very twisty corners that is of Shanghai, through Sector 1, and that's not going to be a purple Sector 1, but it is at least, I don't think, too bad going through. The ERS now coming to around 73 through the S-bends. So yes, Penku, I don't know what's going on in the back of Penku's mind. I mean, he's done several successful outlaps, and about to take it when he just decides, no, I'm just gonna go back into the pits. Is it perhaps psychologically, or could it be something else?
I don't know much when it comes to the Alpha Romeo that Pinko is driving, but I do know this much. Both Keen and Danny are both up significant amounts on their time, so there's a high likelihood they're going to try and knock the McLaren low, not only off of second. And that's Venom! Venom has turned the car there, exiting Sector 1. That's the same place we saw instance earlier. And now Venom has wing damage. He's not going to be able to improve on his lap time. King up to second now, 131.471, and Danny is going to be coming by very shortly to improve also.
Absolutely, and with King successfully doing what he was planning to doing by a mile, basically getting down lower through around 300ths of a second off of Low and Danny. However, Danny is coming to the final few corners of the lap. And it could be that he's going to try and steal his place back, and he gets third. So he steals back third from Low. Low is the only one that has to improve. That was originally part of the top three. If he improves, will once more put him into the top three. But it is running out. Time is indeed running out as we now come to the final minute.
Zola is up for a huge lap right now. We might see Zola to the top, 130.763.
Absolutely.
Smashes the rest of the field.
Absolutely a incredible drive by Zola out of nowhere, to be honest. Just absolutely a stellar qualifying lap, and if anybody can do better than him, now's the time, because Zola, with around 38 seconds to go left in Q3, that's going to look to be pole position for him, as Venom now retires from the session. So yeah. Woo! That was out of nowhere.
No one else is in a real position to improve significantly. Beard Boost is on a lap that's slightly faster than before, but not fast enough to bring him up to path, let alone contend for the top spot. The driver that we need to look at, though, is Pinko. He is finally on a flying lap, and let's see if maybe he'll be able to pull something out of that Alfa Romeo.
Well, it's definitely a bit pretty late for him, but I think I finally realized why he did this. He's doing it so that way he has no interference on track with everybody either in the pits or beginning to retire. This is his way to get his one-shot quick qualifying lap. I think what you said with the one stop. With everybody, once again, with everybody else pretty much absent from the field, Penku could maybe have his shot and his chance to set a successful qualifying lap, but I doubt it will be as anywhere decent as Zola has, because I mean that was out of the blue with that's pretty much a full second.
He gained roughly 1.2 seconds in that lap. Real quick, also want to take note, Beard Boost set a lap time 132.095. Of all the frustrations, is 1,000th of a second off from MCR Path's time.
Oh god. But it sometimes happens here. It's just, once again, random chance that somehow he's like 1,000th of a second close to MCR Path.
At the line, 7th, 131.990.
Absolutely.
Path had an invalid lap, so he will not change himself. This means that qualifying session 3 has come to a close.
And now with completely qualifying coming to a close, your top 10 shall be Zola, Venom, King, Danny, Low, Young, Penku, Path, Beard Boost, and Steel, all rounding out the top 10, with Steel not setting a time due to that very slippery Mercedes, giving him a bit of a rough time, and resulting in a DNF pretty much at the final corner, right on the home stretch, and which is absolutely shattering for him, because that's mean he's pretty much got P10 locked down. I mean, but to be honest, the top 10 isn't really anything to scoff at. I mean, there's only at least currently you said around like what 15 drivers in the session 14.
We're only looking right now as 14 drivers in the session, roughly the same number that we had at Circuit of the Americas.
Well, with now the 5-minute resting time before we go loud and lights out, this is where all of the nerves start to kick in. It's always pre-race, and this is where you're gonna get the most adrenaline. You're gonna get the most rush from the excitement and the intensity of the nervousness from the drivers and seeing how everybody will do out on the field. Also, I was just wondering, Insane, do you want to, I guess, look at the front and I'll look at the rear, or vice versa? Which one do you want to do?
Yep, we'll go ahead and do that at the start. I'll keep a look at the front 2 rows. You go ahead and keep a look at the back, and if something happens, we'll catch it. But I'm not too concerned. We don't have a massive field, so I don't think we'll have too many incidents diving into turn 1 here. Not to mention, the track is looking very, very sunny now, so a very favorable racetrack conditions could also mean that throughout the race itself, we shouldn't see too many on-track incidents.
Absolutely. With dry weather comes the dry tires, and that means we're going to see a lot of fast laps, very secure, very quick laps from all of these drivers. All of these drivers have everything to gain, nothing to lose in this new format season. With Beer Boost and Ultimate, in my prediction, will be getting away from the pack. But personally, to me, from at least from the X2 guys, I don't think we're going to be seeing a large wreck, if you will. But there are some different faces from X2. Some are X1, and just they're just all over the place. This is if there was ever a definition of the mixed field, this would be the prime example of one. So yeah, definitely a wild card this time around.
Anticipated to get the race underway in roughly 90 seconds here, in which case we'll be in for a full-length race here, where the big thing ends up being gain yourself into the best position as soon as you can early in the event, and then the middle and latter thirds of the race are all about maximizing the hand you have been given on track and strategy. It's not rare for these longer races to have little to no actual on-track action once you get to the very end of the event, because at that point it all comes down to strategy and car control. And tire management, I guess, but depending on how you look at it, that may feed into tire management. And speaking of tire management, ideally, the ideal setup for this race would be going medium to medium or a potential soft to hard if you can make the softs last a significant amount of time without losing you too much. A one-stop strategy is without doubt the ideal thing to go. Now, if drivers are unable to make a one-stop and everyone has to do a two-stop, then the ideal would probably be a medium-medium-soft or a soft-medium-medium setup. It's unlikely that you'd be able to get a soft-medium-soft or just a two softs going the entire race without losing significant time as those tires die out.
I mean, there could be a definite possibility that we could be looking at some serious tire wear here in Shanghai, because all of those twisty S-bends could play a hardcore role in degrading further and further the tire wear. It all just plays into it. As now Zola's the first one and has commanded and has signaled to ready up. And yeah, I'll let you take the lead, Insane.
Alright. Well, we're just waiting on the last few drivers to properly ready up, and then we'll be underway. Smaller than normal grid by XRRL standards, but still one that has a significant amount of talent from front to back. Once Pinko is properly readied up, we should load up onto the race circuit. There we are. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. As lights out, and away we go here at China. And Zola and Venom are the drivers right at the the start, the McLaren is actually pulling the nose ahead and move Venom into the top spot as Zola just ends up going
that's
a little bit
Waddington!
wide.
No, that's Path! That's Path going a bit of a vertical rotate. And I think I'm seeing some debris in the backfield. But so far, everybody, yep, there we go. Everybody getting away cleanly. I say that. There's
Ollie.
glitching.
He's side by side with Steele through the technical sections of the track right now. That's not a very ideal place to be. Now Young Maneuver has pulled over, and now Herbie has to pull over. Herbie nearly makes contact with Ollie there in Sector 2. They're all over the place, fighting like mad because they know the longer this race goes, green, and Ollie gets knocked off the track by Young Maneuver.
Ollie going wide and is now placed on the back foot of this entire mad train of cars. All of them swirling like angry hornets, trying to fight for position. Venom getting away cleanly. Followed by King, followed by Zola, followed by Beer Boost, followed by Penku. So far, any major yellow flags.
Ooh, look at that Mercedes way out there. That's Herbie.
Oh dear, Herbie going wide on the exit of that corner. It might be because of understeer, but he's now going to be seeking to pass his teammate Steele. But really make it easy for him. I thought I almost saw a bit of an incident there as we saw years prior in actual Formula 1, but so far, once more, everybody getting away cleanly. That's Herbie going into the pits.
There must be something wrong with Herbie's car. I didn't see any damage on the wing or the floor or anything, but something must be wrong with that Mercedes to bring it in. Also, horrible start for Zola. Despite starting on the pole, he was not able to beat the McLaren in the run down to turn 1. He has already fallen to 3rd place, and the longer he stays behind that Ferrari of King, the harder it's going to be to beat him. The Ferraris have been very strong thus far, and Zola has been their biggest on-track competitor, but being behind the only other Ferrari on the track right now is not going to spell well for him at the moment.
However, King is definitely looking left and right all over that McLaren. He's going to be looking for any way to get somewhere near Venom and pass him as he goes a bit wide on the exit of the S-bends. Zola has everything to gain. He's got nothing to lose here. Well, yes, he does have everything to lose. That is to the rest of the grid.
A little bit farther back, MCR Path is up to 9th position. It was much faster than the McLaren of Lowe through Sector 2, but it didn't matter too much because Lowe had a very solid exit coming out of the final corner. Well, not final corner, but 3rd to last corner, coming out that long back straight. No DRS hasn't been enabled yet, so that means that Lowe is going to be able to stay ahead. And right now, we're looking at a little bit of a train that's from about Beard Boost on back. Beard Boost is now coming into the pits. He has to repair front wing damage.
Oh, that's going to be a definite... definite hard hit from Beard Boost. He seems to always play a little bit recklessly in these first few laps, and then coming in to the pits for either a new wing or a new set of tires. However, just as I predicted, everybody getting away cleanly. Definitely no wild card here, except a little bit was a little bit squirrely at the back to the first few laps.
Also of note, Penquo has worked his way up into the 4th position, and he's trying his best to put a gap between himself and Danny JJ, because if he cannot open up a gap of more than a second, he will be in trouble. He will be at the mercy of those drivers behind him when they get to the DRS zones. So it is imperative for that Alpha to open up more than 1 second gap on the Renault. It's there right now, 1.134. Coming into Sector 3, he needs to open it up more so that way he doesn't have any threat. If Danny is not able to close in on Pinkwo, then Danny is going to come under threat from Waddington, Lowe, Path, Ultimate, and Young Maneuver. So we'll have a little bit of a DRS train out engaged. We are anticipating the DRS will activate after the leaders cross the start-finish line. So when they get to the back straight, we will start seeing it come to life.
Absolutely, and with DRS zone comes risks. You could have the opportunity to overtake somebody, but it could be an opportunity for totaling your car, so you definitely don't want to do that. Here comes Path, right up the backside of Low, looking for any spot he can to get somewhere close. It's definitely become a absolute train of cars. We're talking just massive. So with Venom up in front and King right or 2 seconds now behind, Venom is looking to get away and stay away from the Scarlet Ferrari of King, and then he's trying to get away from Zola. They're all trying to get away from each other, but they all keep coming back for each other. It's pretty much a Hunger Games. Who's gonna live? Who's gonna lose it and get a DNF? We're just gonna have to find out through now 4 out of these 56 laps coming in for our 5th next time by.
Right now, I'm right on board with Waddington as they're going through the technical sections right before the back straightaway. When DRS is enabled, Danny is going to be in a lot of trouble, but Danny in that Renault has the advantage of having a very, very good exit coming out of that corner, but onto the back straightaway. There's a little bit of fighting behind. That's one car. That is the Williams of Path, who has jumped way to the inside to try and just get out of line, get some clean air. It'll let Ultimate move ahead of him. Oh, wow, look at Yun Maneuver. He made a huge dive bomb on both of the Williams. Ended up not working out, moving Yun Maneuver back down to the 10th position.
And with a little while ago, Herbie now getting the first penalty of the day, the first 3-second time penalty. It's definitely interesting to see the back of the grid getting the first time penalty. Personally, I think it'd be somewhere in the middle of the grid or at the front of the field.
Well, Waddington right there on Danny. He's going to try and make a move on the outside. There's not
and here comes the old
traction there.
Here comes Danny in the Haas. Oh, but no, it's going to be Danny. Danny's going to try and fight it back as they go through the next corner. Danny's still trying to fight off Waddington. Waddington is still being relentless. Here they come side by side through the S-bends. Holy crap, here they go. Woo!
I'm just saying I would rather be the second car between these two because I would like to have DRS on the guy in front once you get onto the back straightaway. Waddington is putting a lot of pressure on Danny still, though, and it's bringing the entire field behind them right on top of each other.
Absolutely, and with Danny just saying, get back Waddington. But, however, Waddington does have the ultimate ability to overtake through DRS. And with Danny now with a...
Low had an even better run than Waddington there. Low might be able to overtake the Haas. He's right there under him. They're both going to have DRS. It's going to be a drag race down the straightaway. That's exactly what Danny wants to see. And move Low up into the sixth position. Waddington makes a little bit of wing-to-rear contact. But all that aggressiveness from the Haas ended up hurting him, and he has now lost the position.
Now with Ollie getting another 3-second time penalty. Sector 3 yellow flag.
Ollie is out of the race.
Oh dear, what happened? I'm riding on board with Gear Boost to see what happened through, I believe, the second final corner, and unfortunately, Danny's Alpha has no, not Danny. Ollie's Alpha has despawned. So unfortunately, well, at least I could not see what was going on there. Any idea?
No, I'm not 100% sure. The best thing I could guess is that he put the power down coming out of the hairpin, and the car wheel spin and turned him right into the inside wall. That's the only thing I could see that's likely to have happened. Also of note, though, farther up in the field, Pinkuo is in 4th. He's closing in on Zola, and Zola is within half a second or so of King. The soft tire compounds have definitely fallen off for the Ferrari. This is Zola's best chance to try and get up to at least 2nd in the field.
Absolutely, and with Zola being now
also, Low has gotten by Danny. I didn't see this, but Low got by Danny in the twisties.
Danny seems to have finally been compromised by Low, and I bet now Waddington is looking to maybe do the same. However, he's coming under attack from Ultimate. Yeah, here he comes on the side by side with him. Yeah,
Waddington neck and neck with a hairpin. They give each other a lot of room. I don't feel comfortable going side by side through the final corner, though, but they're going to do it anyway. That's why they're out on the track and I'm not.
What absolute madmen! Oh,
look at
steal!
Nearly lost it coming out of the final corner. The same way the Hack would have lost it in qualifying, but he's on the track still, 11th. And Path just overtook Young Maneuver, so Young Maneuver left on the outside going into turn 1. He has now fallen to 10th.
Young doing okay in qualifying, has absolutely dwindled back into 10th throughout, now going through the back of the field. He's definitely looking for any form of way to get near and past Path and go through the rest of the grid. Most of the midfield being now somewhere being in Sector 2. Zola now overtaking back through King. King having his second place demoted from Zola. Penku not really having a decent racing sessions in X2. Has everything to play for here. I'm absolutely cheering on Penku. I mean, he never does this well. He usually comes at least in DNF, at least around this time of the race, and I'm just absolutely cheering him on. Go, come on.
A little bit farther back, Danny just got DRS on low, going down the straight. He's going to make a move on the McLaren, neck and neck down the back straightaway, and into the hairpin. The Renault has the nose ahead, but the Renault-powered machine of McLaren is right there underneath. He's going to look to the outside. Are they going to try and be side-by-side again through the final corner? No, they won't this time, but the McLaren now has the DRS advantage. He's going to try and make the cutback work on the straightaway. The problem is the McLaren's on the outside. He needs to get 100% ahead of the Renault. He does.
Absolutely, with Lowe and Danny still scrapping it out. Waddington is, I bet, looking at this and seeing that this is an opportunity to overtake. Oh, and that's oh no, that's Waddington. Waddington going into the wall. Unfortunately, taking off his front wing. Apparently, he made the move too late, and that's pretty much cost him his midfield spot.
Danny just got back by Lowe. MVSs, these are those areas of the track that you don't normally think of overtakings happening, but he just made it happen, so move the Renault back in front of the McLaren.
Oh, that's not going to be good. Venom now coming with a 3-second time penalty. That could spell P2 for him if he does not somehow find a way to get Zola off his tail. However, he seems to be doing that just fine now as he now comes through plus 4.6 seconds off of Zola's time. Venom is definitely trying to get away quick. Same thing with Danny now, getting away from Lowe. Ultimate now looking to make a move on Ultimate. Ultimate still in that hunt mode. He's in beast mode, and he's going to be absolutely hunting down for the rest of the field. However, that's the old switcheroo done by...
Ultimate can't keep staying in beast mode like that. He's going to burn his tires up. I saw a huge plume of tire smoke come out of the back of that car going into the hairpin. You can't afford to do that with these long races. Tire conservation is everything. King has jumped into the pits. He is once off those softs. He's only lasted 8 laps on them as he's going onto the mediums.
That's a bit of dirt correction from Lowe in P5. All sorts of things are happening in the midfield as Ultimate is looking once more for a spot to just go all in, and he's just trying to keep it extremely tight in the rear of Lowe, trying to find any way he can to get past him, because Ultimate is without a doubt one of the most aggressive drivers in XRRL history, or at least from how many of races that I've seen. It's definitely interesting to see that Ultimate is starting to have a bit of weakness through these lengthier Grand Prix because of, once again, 56 laps. He's not used to this. He usually around here you would think he would be around halfway, but no, he has to continue to conserve. Definitely something that I bet is a bit new and a bit unusual for Ultimate, so that's why I think he's struggling a bit.
Well, there's also the note that the Williams are the slowest cars in the grid, so the fastest drivers are given the slowest cars, slowest drivers are given the fastest cars. So Ultimate and his teammate MCR Path have to do everything they can to outperform the material that they're given, so that may also be one of the reasons why he's running a little bit lower than what we were used to seeing him in these races. Right now, though, he has DRS on Lowe, and Lowe has DRS on Danny, but Danny has a large enough gap on the two of them that it's not going to affect him at the moment. Pinquo has jumped into the pits. He wants off of those soft tires.
And especially with, oh wait, no, that's Steele, I think. I think that's Herbie. Yeah, that's Herbie. I don't know what happened. It's just...
He's gone around. It looks like that Mercedes has spun around there in those technical sections right before the back straightaway. He's basically been a non-factor this entire race. Took damage early on, had to pit and repair, has been significantly off pace compared to the rest of the field, and that spin is not going to help that at all.
Absolutely, it's just not really going Herbie's way this time around. Hopefully, maybe some way he can crawl back through the field, but that looks a bit unrealistic because Waddington is around. I think that's 8 seconds, or no, that's like 12 seconds in front of Herbie, and so Herbie's gonna have to put in all kinds of effort to get somewhere even near Waddington in P12. However, it's not unrealistic.
The battle for fourth is continuing here. Ultimate has DRS on Lowe, who has DRS on Danny. The Williams seems to be much slower, though, than those two Renaults in a straight line. And right now, the situation seems to be that... Oh, wow, look at Lowe with that massive twist coming out of the hairpin. But he was able to save it, but it seems like Danny has become faster and faster compared to his rivals as the tires drop off on that car. Path is brought into the pits. He wants off those softs, and when he makes that and completes that stop, it will mean that everyone will be on the medium tires except for Herbie, who had to pit and change tires early in the event.
Speaking of Herbie, he got a 3-second time penalty just now, that totaling his time penalties now up to 6 seconds. Just absolutely not going Herbie's way, as he now is around 13.8 seconds now in front, or now behind of Waddington. I was not paying attention apparently, because the Scarlet Red Ferrari has now degraded back into 7th, same with Pinquo.
He stopped. He made, so the thing is that King and Pinquo have made their pit stops, so they will eventually end up ahead of a bunch of other drivers because everyone ahead of them have yet to stop. Danny, Lowe, and Ultimate have been slowing their pace down significantly by constantly fighting amongst each other, and Young Maneuver has had a few incidents on his own. So once those 4 drivers pit, we will see King and Pinquo go back up likely to 3rd and 4th position.
Yes, indeed.
Ultimate has DRS on Lowe, and Lowe has DRS on Danny. Once again, Yun isn't close enough to have DRS on either of them. So while while 2 of these cars have DRS, it's just not enough for them to really make an active
Oh, there's contact between Danny and Lowe coming out of the second and final corner. That putting Lowe a little bit out of step and out of pace. He's going to be a little bit back.
Oh, look at that! Williams nearly spins out.
Ultimate does a bit of a save there, as they now headed through lap 12 of this Chinese Grand Prix. Ultimate just still trying to find a way through Lowe, but that looks to be a blue spanner for inside of the little dashboard right next to the RPMs for Ultimate. And I saw a bit of a tire lockout from Lowe coming through the very curvy section, and there's tire lockup again. I reckon he either put the brake bias a bit. What do you say, a bit too front forward?
Probably. No, XRRL Steel, yes, set the fastest lap in the race, but he's been struggling with that Mercedes all day long. I'm starting to think that the problems with Steele and Herbie is that those Mercedes, without a doubt, they're supposed to be the fastest cars in the game, but those things are probably so twitchy and so hard to control that it's really hard for those 2 drivers to maximize those cars. There's probably not very much wrong when it comes to the setup, considering that we just saw Steele set the fastest lap of the race. I think the problem is just that they're very, very diva-like in a sense. You have to be very, very willing to give them everything just to get the maximum amount, and the ability for Steele and Herbie to do that lap after lap over entire tire runs or the entire race is very, very, very difficult right now. Meanwhile, back up in the battle between 3rd and 6th, now all 4 of these drivers will have DRS on each other, but Danny continues to have good enough exits out of the corners that he's able to stay away from the DRS strike zone from Low behind him, and Ultimate seems to have let the race come his way just a little bit. He's looking a little bit stronger now as the tires are wearing, but because Low also has DRS ahead of him, he's not able to make any moves on that McLaren on the straights. He has to make something happen in the twisty bits of the circuit.
Absolutely, it seems the S-bends are the only way Ultimate is going to get anywhere near to Low, but we're seeing more of the tire lock-up. But the problem is with facing Ultimate, you could give him a shopping trolley and he would still be quick. So this man is just an absolute god, and he's looking to cement himself into this race by looking on the inside of Low. He's still looking all over that quiet orange McLaren, still trying to find some way past him. However, he's going to also have to play a little bit defensively, as Young Maneuver is still behind him in the PWT machine. So yes, so Ultimate has to play both roles as attack and defense. And it's definitely interesting to see Ultimate doing a bit of multitasking through these continuing laps here at Shanghai.
Well, circumstances have just changed significantly. Holy crap! Ultimate just lost the entire car under braking there. He'll barely stay ahead of Young Maneuver, but of note, Low fell out of DRS range of Danny. He was just barely out, so because of that, he was way slower on the straight than before. Ultimate didn't realize it until it was too late, jumped on the brakes a little bit too late, and blew through the hairpin corner, and now he's under threat from Young Maneuver going into turn 1. I think that Racing Point Mercedes is going to try and get by him here in the cutback. Not able to do it yet.
Yes, Ultimate is absolutely relentless, though. But that was a fairly reckless mistake from Ultimate. He just went all sorts on the grass. However, Young is still trying to capitalize on that little mistake, seeing if any way possible he can get through to Ultimate and pass him. But it is, once again, extremely difficult to pass somebody like Ultimate. We're just going to have to see, as the continuing race unfolds, of how well either Ultimate can defend or Young can attack.
Low has closed back in a little bit to Danny, but he loses it a little bit in the corners. This time, though, he will still be within DRS range of the Renault ahead of him, so he won't have to worry about Ultimate making a huge dive bomb on him under braking. So once again, a little bit of a DRS train forms, but no one able to make a move quite yet there. This is the only real active battle on the track. Pinquo has been closing in on King. I've not seen any evidence to show that Pinquo is going to actually try and make an overtake on the Ferrari here.
It's definitely...
He is within DRS range, though.
It's definitely hard with how far away Penku is, and now, of course, getting extremely close to the Scarlet Ferrari's massive rear wing. But King is just trying everything he can in his power to get just away from Penku, just trying to not give him any more positions, just constantly fending him off. As we're seeing with Young and Ultimate. However, it seems that just like King, Ultimate is going to be trying to stay in his position. However, Danny, who I'm extremely worried about, because he has if you can see right next to the RPM gauge, or at least the RPM gauge, he has a yellow fuel sign, and that could mean he's slowly running out of fuel. However, that could play as an advantage to him if he is running absolutely lean. With his fuel, he could continually stay decently low on fuel, but with his lightness of the car, but as well as his quickness, it seems that could also play as a strength and a weakness to him at the same time. We're just gonna have to see, and here comes Low slowly creeping up on him with DRS full. Low is trying to look on the outside there as Beer Boost now gets a 3-second time penalty. Low near contact with Danny, however, still not there as Venom now comes with a fast lap of 137.3.
Danny is laying all over that ERS. He might might not have much ERS left at this rate. It's only at 16% right now. Low is at 31. And yes, it recharges, but right now, the McLaren, with use of DRS, is keeping his ERS much higher. Because of that, the Renault has come back into the clutches of this little battle. These four drivers will not stop. Pinquo has just overtaken Keen at the end of the straightaway, but Keen is fighting back. They're neck and neck now through turn number 2.
Oh, slight bit of contact as they go through the next couple of corners. A definite fight between the two red machines. King is going to see what he can do to somehow fight back, and here he comes. That's going to be a bit of a switcheroo from King. Back on, now Penke back on the Ferrari's tail. Just an absolute incredible scrap all the way through the grid. But unfortunately, with...
Go ahead.
Okay. But unfortunately for King, his ERS level is now at 5%. He has to learn how to conserve. He needs to conserve his ERS. Otherwise, Penku, with his 20, even though I must admit not much, could play disaster for King. But he just needs to learn somewhere about the conservation of his ERS. However, now with Penku with DRS, as they come through the second to last corner, King seeing in his mirrors that Alfa Romeo.
Also, is they get a dive bomb on low going into turn number 1. Neck and neck for the 5th position.
Oh boy. Ultimate still being relentless.
And this is perfect. Danny might be able to get away from these guys just a little bit if they keep staying side by side. They're still side by side, and now they're still side by side. The McLaren is going to hold on to the top spot between the two of them, though.
Oh, you can just feel the frustration.
They get another right back in the hairpin and contact.
Yeah, that's just absolute frustration from Ultimate. He's tired of playing with Low. He's ready to play with Danny, and that's yellow flags. I think
Venom! Something's wrong with Venom's car! He has come to a significant slowdown there at the end of the straight. Now he's right there. Herbie is going to be right there on top of him. He's going to try and get his lap back. But Venom has just lost a chunk of time as the car came to an abrupt slow run there in that mini straightaway.
That's going to hurt him as also he does have a recent time penalty. So right now, basically it seems Zola is in the lead in terms of times, with I think that's Herbie going wide. Very unfortunate. However, it does seem that Zola is just trying everything he can, and basically, theoretically, he is in the lead if he can just continue to stay within under the 3-second time mark of Venom's penalty. It seems plausible that Zola can win just as long as he just keeps it consistent. Danny and
Go ahead.
Ultimate seeming to
this happens all the time. Don't worry about it.
Ultimate finally getting past Low. It's been a decent scrap for him, but he's now ready to have a go at Danny. I think Danny knows from like X2 and the other leagues, if they've both been in it, of how just absolute hardcore aggressive Ultimate can be with his car. Even with a Williams, he's in 4th place, while the more inexperienced cars, that being of Steele and Herbie, still being at the back of the grid. Sector 3 yellow flags.
Venom has gone around. Venom has just lost the position now. Something is wrong with Venom's car. That's 2 laps in a row now where he's had issues there going on that really slow straightaway. Now Venom has lost the lead on the track. He is now 3 seconds out from Zola. I have no idea what's wrong with that McLaren, but something has got to be going very wrong.
Yeah, I have no idea of what's happening. I mean, from where I'm seeing it, Venom is just doing an absolute fantastic job of conserving his ERS, but it seems that Zola is now still in front, and he finally gets what he's been wanting in X2, and I don't know if he's in an X1 yet, but I guess X1 then. But he's finally taking the lead of a Grand Prix in front of so many elites. No, it's not the full 20 grid, but it's still pretty impressive that he's able to be a little bit faster than people like Beard Boost and Ultimate. Beard Boost still being in 10th. It's not really going too well for him.
Beard Boost had to pit very early on to repair damage and put on new tires. So that's one of the reasons why he's buried so low on the grid right now.
Yes, indeed, and definitely unfortunate because, like Ultimate, Beard Boost is also fairly aggressive, but I think he understands where to at least controllably go full out aggression. Because Beard Boost is pretty much 15 seconds in front of Path. He's 15 seconds in front of Beard Boost. So definitely something going on there in the Haas Come on.
The Haas machine.
Yes, there we go. I was trying to say the Haas cockpit. There we go. Oh well. However, I must say a decent scrap, and Danny takes back the position from, or no, he's been there the entire thing. But Ultimate still trying to find a way through, pretty much around 5/100ths of a second, in front of, or at least behind. In front of Danny. I'm starting to lose myself. I'm not used to these long, lengthy races. Usually around here would be the dying embers of the race, but no, we're going to be still continuing onward.
Of note, Young Maneuver is slowly starting to lose the back of Low ahead of him. Young Maneuver had set a really good lap about 3 laps ago, but since then his times have started dropping off, and he lost DRS from the drivers ahead of him before that. If that continues, and that means that Low would have less to worry about when it comes to defense, and he could potentially muster a stronger attack against the Williams ahead of him to try and take back the 4th position.
Absolutely. Although Ultimate is extremely difficult driver to beat, he's not invincible, and we've been seeing that through for instance, Mexico of last season, where he accidentally put on the intermediates too early in a slightly drizzly session, that giving him a DNF. That being one of the very few mistakes that he's ever made. However, it is a mistake, and he could make another one here if something unfolds, because we still have a long race ahead of us. Now it's
Alright, Venom has now gotten back by Zola because Zola has gone ahead and jumped into the pit lane. So we are now seeing the leaders going ahead and making their stops. Ultimate, meanwhile, is right there underneath Danny on the front straightaway, looking to see what he can do to the Renault. Nothing yet, though.
With Danny finally in 2nd and Ultimate finally in 3rd. It seems that most of the midfield is finally where they want to be, in the top 3, at the top of the grid. However, Ultimate is still going full attack. Here he comes! Will he try to make a dive bomb? There he goes. I'm talking full 1939 Stuka dive bombing right there. Just wonderful, and Danny taking it back. That's the problem with Ultimate's attacks. It takes so much energy from him. However, the ERS on the Renault machine is a bit low in the mid-teens.
And all this find is bringing the McLaren of Low and the tracing point of Young Maneuver back up to them, going down that little short straight one more time. They're all going to be within a second of each other easily, so another DRS train is going to open up on the back straightaway here.
Absolutely, and so far an incredible drive from Low, Ultimate, and Danny. King and Penku still being in a race of their own. That looks like Penku going wide and going a bit off track there. Very unfortunate. Here comes Path now, looking for a decent spot as they now come now to the very long backstretch. Yep, here comes Path with now DRS activated. However, overtake button has not been activated. So he's not
side by side for a 2nd position. Ultimate's got DRS. He'll fall back in line behind the Renault, then pop back out. Williams versus Renault down the straightaway for the top, the bottom 2 steps on the grid. And the car in front coming out of turn 1 is gonna be the Renault. A little bit of wing to contact as they now go through the tightest section of the first sector on the circuit. Put the Renault and keep the Renault there in the top position, because now our race leader has gone ahead and made a stop. Young Maneuver has made a stop as well. This has now become a fight for a lead. Ultimate makes another dive bomb in the hairpin, neck and neck as they're coming down out of the hairpin through the twisted sections. They're still side by side. Right now, the Renault has the advantage. The Renault is still outside, and neck and neck, there's contact once more. The McLaren is there ready to trounce if something happens. They're still side by side. They've been side by side for roughly half the lap now. And the Williams is on the outside. And they make contact two more times there. And the Williams gets knocked off the circuit.
Oh,
I'm sorry about that.
That's absolutely fine. I mean, I think I would be having pretty much a heart attack from what I've been seeing from Ultimate. Just, you could see the relentlessness in Ultimate. However, going full relentless does sometimes make mistakes, as we just saw as he went wide on the S-bends. But now Low coming through through the drag race, pretty much, through the backstretch. Low now getting finally in P1, followed by Danny, followed by Ultimate, followed by Zola, followed by Venom. But,
And now the question is going to be, when these three pit, are they all going to pit together after each other? No, our top three are all going to pit together. It will be interesting to see where they come out in relation to each other. Zola is your current race leader, 1.7 seconds ahead of Venom on track. But we can anticipate to see Venom potentially run Zola back down. He was the fastest car earlier, but for 2 laps in a row, he seemed to have something that caused him to lose significant amounts of time. Those issues seem to be gone now as he is back to normally regaining time. Most of the field has made their first stop, so now we're seeing drivers show up where they actually are supposed to be on the racetrack. King is back in the 3rd position. Pinquo is back in 4th. Path is the most impressive one in the Williams. He has kind of, on his own, worked his way up into 5th without spending a lot of time on track with other people, so that's very interesting to say the least.
Indeed, Young has just pretty much stayed there.
Also, I just noticed something else. Young Maneuver made a pit stop a lap earlier than Low, Ultimate, and Danny. That's worked out very much in Young's favor. He is now the one leading this little train. However, he has Low right there behind him. Ultimate actually had a really bad stop. He's way out of DRS range from Low. And Danny is similarly way out of DRS range from Ultimate. The interesting thing, though, is of everyone on the track, Danny is the only car on hard tire compounds. He is anticipating running those hards to the end of the race. Everyone else is going to be kind of iffy to see if they can make the remaining 23 laps of the race. Not 23,
56.
30, yeah.
Math.
Something like that. I'm not this bad at math normally, I swear to God. 33 laps left in the race. There are 33 laps still left in the race, and I don't know if the rest of the field is going to be able to make it on those mediums. If everyone makes another pit stop, Danny might have a little bit of an advantage and get a much better position by making only a 1 stop going medium to hards. However, like you said earlier, there is still that yellow fuel light on Danny's car, so his fuel is definitely questionable at the moment.
Absolutely, and now with Venom making the fastest lap, Venom is going to be looking to retake of what he has lost earlier in this race, and that being first P1 pretty much. And with him getting a purple Sector 1, he's pretty much going with the full Ultimate maneuver. Relentless attack, attack, attack. With Venom's Renault power unit seems to be I don't know what was happening out of the S-bends. I'm on board with him now, maybe to see if what was happening. But no, yeah, no, he's pretty much doing fine, especially with his. You gotta admit, Venom has just excellent ERS. He just knows how to conserve ERS. I mean, he's right now at 81, now through around the early 70s. But just absolutely incredible racecraft and indeed strategy.
He's gonna make a dive
Venom.
on the outside.
Passing him like he's standing still. However, Zola is still wishing to fight back.
Not much of a fight back already through that corner. Zola had a bad run, and the gap already opens up to about 6 tenths. Now 7 tenths, now 7.5 tenths. Now Zola will have DRS on the straight, and that will help soothe the loss just a little bit, but Venom's pace, he's been on a pace pretty much of his own right now, so I don't think it's not going to matter much, and we'll probably see Zola drop back out of DRS range relatively shortly. Also of note, Pinkwheel has caught Keen again. Not making a move at this exact moment, but a potential fight is in the cards there. Also of note, Low is behind. Young Maneuver still wants to get back in front. There's a Tracing Point who was behind him throughout the entire first stand of the event. Ultimate is opened up a significant gap over Danny, though. Already, the gap between Ultimate and Danny has doubled. The difference between medium and hard tire compound seems to be significant. And Steel is right there behind Beard Boost. That's the fight for the last place of the points paying positions. Steel trying to make moves anywhere he can on Beard Boost, is just not able to make it work. Waddington is actually ended up closing in on this battle because Beard Boost and Steel have been holding each other up a long period of time.
It seems that the battle of backmarkers has finally come to pass. Herbie, nowhere to be seen with 44 seconds behind, in front of Waddington being in front, 44 seconds behind being Herbie. It's just not his race, man. However,
Low has DRS on Young Maneuver on the back straightaway. Will he make the dive? He doesn't even have to make a dive. He'll pull sideways.
Waddington's out. Waddington apparently losing it out of the S-bends. He is now getting back. However, this is finally Herbie's time to shine, but it's not enough.
He's retired from the session.
Oh.
Waddington has retired from the session.
That's going to be extremely bad for Waddington because if you don't know the XRRL rules, you cannot retire on track. You can only retire in the pits. So that's going to play a big role.
There may have been a bigger issue at play, though, that caused that car to both go off circuit and retire like that. Meanwhile, a little bit farther back in the field, Low got by Young Maneuver on the front straightaway. Now, Young Maneuver is back behind the McLaren, but of note, the McLaren is actually starting to close in very slowly on MCR Path, because Path is on much older medium tires right now.
Absolutely, Path is definitely sticking with his top 5 spot, and I bet he's definitely, quote-unquote, eating popcorn in the cockpit as he's watching this brilliant scrap between Penku and King happen right in front of him. What I was saying beforehand with the second and first positions, Zola doesn't really have to push. With that 3-second time penalty that Venom has, Zola could just basically stay where he's at for the rest of the race, not needing to push it, and he could still win it.
That is assuming that Venom doesn't open up a gap more than 3 seconds. We saw earlier Venom had a gap of 5 seconds and some change, though, before those issues happened that caused him to lose a bunch of time. So it is possible that Venom might turn the wick up and open up enough of a gap so he's away from Zola. It's still relatively early in the race. We're still not quite at the halfway point, so things could still change. But one thing that is very interesting right now, we have another DRS train. King, Pinkwheel, Path, Low, and Young Maneuver are all right on top of each other on the straights. But King has a very, very good exit out of the corners, and that's keeping Pinkwheel from utilizing DRS to overtake him. And all the drivers behind are basically stuck in a position where they can't make an active move. Now, we've seen the McLaren of Low make moves in the twisty bits. Oh, as he gets sideways himself, coming out of the slower corners in Sector 1. This will be interesting because Low likes to make moves here in this section of the circuit. Will he do something against Path here while the chance and opportunity still presents itself? I'm not seeing anything.
And it seems that a new small train of cars has erected itself, and that being the train started by King, followed by Penku, followed by Path, followed by Low, followed by Young. So now it's...
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I must say it's definitely interesting to see Ultimate and Danny still having a bit of a race of their own now. Pretty much still a far cry from the large train. But we're just gonna have to see what is Ultimate playing and or Danny, as Low is now making a move on the inside of a Path, now making a pass to Path.
That was an aggressive cut. No, that wasn't a twist. He cut over to deny the inside to Path, so Path couldn't try and make a move under braking.
Oh. Lowe's starting to get pretty damn desperate to just keep up decent pace and position with the rest of the field.
Lowe
Here
overtook one car on the backstretch, and he's going to try and do another one here. Going through turn one, he's got that inside line. It's the preferred line. He locks up the brakes. He's going to lose that position. He's going to lose now to Young Maneuver, potentially. Young Maneuver's there. Now MCR Path is getting into side by side with Young Maneuver. It's neck and neck. It's feeding frenzy time in the midfield.
It seems that that little overtake by Lowe on Penku was perhaps a bit ill-timed. He probably should have kept back a little bit and stayed in his position until somewhere near the S-bend. As you said before, it could be a very much more of a decent place to overtake than the start of the lap, where it's absolutely incredibly hard. And
Venom is slow again.
Oh dear. What is going on with the McLaren machine? We'll have to find out during the after-race briefing. With now Zola actually properly getting secured at P1. However, a little bit of twitch coming from Zola's wheel as Ultimate now gets a 3-second time penalty.
Penko's making the move on King now. King's holding the inside, so Penko's going to be trapped on the outside going into the hairpin. If he can make this stick, they make a little bit of contact.
Bit of a squeeze.
And King's going to keep that car ahead. Now Lowe is right there. Lowe wants to make something happen to these two. They're still neck and neck. King is right behind Pinkwell. King will have DRS on this straightaway, and Lowe is going to have DRS on both of them. King on the outside of Pinkwell, neck and neck, going into the straight. King's ahead. Now, once again, Lowe on the outside. He's going to try and finish up on Pinkwell what he wasn't able to do earlier, and it happened. And now Young Maneuver is on the inside of Pinkwell.
Penko now with also a 3-second time penalty. It could spell disaster for his race. With now Young Maneuver trying to get a slice of that the top 5 pie from Penku, but Penku does not want to give it away. As they now go, the little 5 Trent cars go through the S-bends, and I think I see MCR Path. And yeah, that's MCR Path now joining back with the train of cars. Ultimate still trying to. He's slowly getting back, but only just. Same thing with Danny actually. Pretty much after that tire stop.
Young Maneuver. Young Maneuver tried to make a move. Had to make a hard defense against MCR Path. But keep Young Maneuver in the 6th position. Path might be able to make something happen though.
Absolutely.
Here we go. Lowe has Keen. He's going to have DRS on the Ferrari. Lowe being by far the most aggressive driver on track right now. Easy DRS overtake against the Ferrari. So now McLarens are 2nd and 3rd. The Ferrari is going to fight back in the hairpin though, but can't make it work. Lowe skitters the rear end of the car while putting the power down, but he's going to be able to stay up in front. Keen will have DRS on the McLaren though. But it's not going to be enough, at least not now it won't be enough.
Absolutely. However, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is decent for the drivers to go for position, but I'm afraid they're still going far too fast and far too quick with how much fuel they have to carry on board with these cars. Fuel conservation and tire conservation, mainly fuel conservation though, because you cannot replenish fuel because of the rules that were set down, I believe, in the 90s, where you can no longer refuel. That's going to be the main problem for these drivers. They like to drive aggressively because usually they're only being in around 28 lap races, but for 56 laps, it'll be looking definitely interesting to see how these drivers fare in this kind of new format.
The no refueling is a much more recent thing than it just being the 90s. In fact, fueling was used throughout almost the entirety of the 90s and most of the 2000s as well. It's gone. Formula One has gone back and forth with it in spurts. But right now, yeah, we're in a no refueling era, and as long as the cars continue to be as large as they are, it's likely we'll stay that way. Venom is just crashed! Venom has crashed the car! Venom, your dominant driver all day today, dove it into the pit lane, and that's a full course safety car. The entire field is going to get gathered up, and your dominant driver of the day has crashed and totaled the machine. Lowe is going to go ahead and take this case to pit. King is going to take this case to pit. Young Maneuver is going going to take this chance to pit. Pinko is going to take this chance to pit. Pat is going to take this chance to pit.
Young Maneuver is now getting a 3-second time penalty, I'm guessing, for the entry of that. Dear Lord, poor Venom, even a hard shmee into the pit wall. And that will definitely be a bit of an effect for him, as a safety car is now out. Fortunately for Ultimate, instead of him going for the full frenzy, for the full tire frenzy, Ultimate has decided to stay out a little bit while longer, seeing if he can't make these mediums last. And looking, because if that looks to be Zola just being far away, but wait a minute, that's Danny. Oh, wait a minute. Oh no, that's the safety car. I thought that was another. I always think the safety cars are Renault. They need to put like an S here.
They need to fix that. They need to make either like a big S or like something that flashes between like yellow and white or something like that.
Yeah, because I thought that was a Renault like stopped.
I'm very interested in Ultimate's decision to stay out on medium tires. Zola will probably go ahead and jump into the pit lane here now. Almost everyone behind him has pits, so I see no reason why he wouldn't also consider jumping into the pits here. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's 25 seconds ahead of Ultimate, so there shouldn't be too much of a risk of him losing the lead. Of note, though, Danny took off the hards, put on mediums. Young Maneuver and Low, though, put on hards, and they're going to run those hards for the rest of the race. But we're past the halfway point, so yeah, they won't have to pit again, but it's a very, very strange decision, to say the least.
And it definitely seems Zola is indeed taking advantage of his large gap difference between himself and Ultimate. However, here comes Ultimate now onto the tail of Zola. However, he cannot overtake because we are still under yellow flags and under the safety car, which the safety car is, I guess, is still waiting for the leaders.
Safety car should pick up the leaders now. That safety car was basically out on the circuit for what felt like 2 whole laps. Just because of the way the field was spread out, it made things very, very awkward, to say the least. Just the safety car just kind of sitting there on the racetrack waiting to finally pick up the race leader. But it has happened. We finally caught the race leader, and now it's going to be the matter of waiting for the entire field to properly get gathered up. Just to put things in perspective, the gap between the leader and Herbie in 11th, 2 minutes and 16 seconds right now. So, also, Young Maneuver has come into the pits, and he's back out. He's put on soft tire compounds. I don't know if I'd trust those softs to last 24 laps, so I think Young Maneuver is anticipating making one more stop before this race is up. But it's a very strange decision, to say the least. While on the other end of the field, Zola and Low will be restarting first and third on hards, and everyone else is going to be on fresh mediums. Ultimate's the only real exception. He's going to be on mediums with 8 laps of wear. So this is going to be a very, very interesting run, to say the least.
Absolutely, and I'm currently riding on board with the back onboard camera of Zola, looking at Ultimate leaving those tires, and I know exactly why Ultimate stayed out. One, I think he thinks the tire wear is good, and personally to me, I think with those tires only being a handful of laps old, I think he played the correct call. But we're just gonna have to see if either of those tires make it to the end of the race, or will he have to pit one more time, in which the pitting one more time could be absolutely catastrophic for Ultimate, as he does a bit of a lockup there. But I know for a fact Ultimate likes to go full aggressive. He never likes to go soft. That's just not his style. So you're seeing now, Ultimate is just looking and peeking still, even though they're still under safety, they're still peeking through every which way of the Aston Martin Red Bull. So yeah, it's been an absolute dramatic race so far. First, I mean, now with Venom having a bit of trouble with his car, and then suddenly doing a shmee into the pit wall. Also, if you're joining us now, we're currently under yellow flags, and welcome to the first season of the XRRL League. I am your co-host, Root Beer King, and then our host being Our host commentator being Insane Leader. So far, so dramatic here at Shanghai. Zola, Ultimate Low, King Penku, and Penku, rounding out your top 5 so far for lap 33 out of 56 here at China. So far, only 3 DNFs, Venom, Waddington, and Ollie. Very unfortunate for these drivers.
So one thing I do want to take note of here is that the interesting thing is that this brings Beard Boost back into race play. He is buried back there in the 9th position, but he has tires that have roughly the same freshness as everyone in front of him. He's going to have faster tires in the 1st and 3rd, like most of the field is going to. Beard Boost has now basically been given a not free pass literally, but basically a handout, so he's basically been allowed to overcome the extra pit stop from earlier. We may see him start making a slow charge up through the field. The thing is, the driver up ahead of him, Young Maneuver, is going to have soft tire compounds. When he has that plus DRS, we could easily see Young Maneuver try and climb his way up to the top 5, maybe even the top 3, depending on how... Pinquo! Pinquo has spun out there! Pinquo has spun the car coming onto the back straightaway. How in the world did that happen?
It might be because he was a bit too giddy. He was a bit too confident that he could make such a decent play here. I bet he maybe stamped on the throttle a bit too hard. However, now with Herbie finally, if you will, kind of unlapping himself and getting back into contention with the rest of the grid. However, he's still having to go fairly quick to catch up with the rest of the field. However, I think we'll be going under safety car for a little bit while longer, so Herbie can still make up his the positions that he's lost in the laps prior.
And now Ultimate is given a penalty for a collision with Zola. And I think, unlike normally when you see the game give that, normally it's kind of bullcrap. This time it looks like it's actually happened. I can see significant front wing damage on the Williams. So the entire top 3 now completely self-destructing, it seems, under this safety car. What in the world is I don't even know anymore. What?
It's just how Ultimate plays. He's always aggressive, even under safety car. He can get a bit too aggressive in that. And that is what I've so far seen in his career here for XRL, and now XRRL, could play disaster to him and his race. However, it could also play as a bit of an advantage because he's an absolute hardcore pusher. He does not like to wait around. He does not like to wait around and play the race at length. He likes to get it done. Now the safety car is in this lap as we are being told by race control. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see the entire grid once more bunched up as they were on lap 0 when they went lights out. Herbie now finally catching back up with the once spun Penku. But now all of the drivers are warming up their tires, ready to go green once more at Shanghai.
So one thing I do want to take note of real quick before we get under green. Earlier you pointed out that Danny had the fuel warning light on. This yellow flag has significantly helped that machine, so now that Renault shouldn't have as much of a worry when it comes to fuel making it to the end. So that's going to be very, very good for that machine, for that driver going forward. Excuse me. The pace car is coming into pit lane as we're about to go green here, and Ultimate has to pit to repair the damage. This means that Lowe gets artificially lifted up into the 2nd position. The 2 of the fastest cars on the slowest tires leading the field with 21 laps to go here at Shanghai.
Oh, I can just feel the frustration in Ultimate here. I think he's mad that he went so reckless. Still now getting a 3-second time penalty as Ultimate having a fairly slow pit crew in this lap. Wow.
Danny and Yun are fighting it out now, neck and neck between the Tracy Point and the Renault. Down these corners. Move the Tracy Point up in the 5th. He is not sleeping on those softs. He wants to make full advantage of it because he sees slow leaders and he wants to race up there as fast as he can. We might see even more craziness maneuver very shortly here. Of note though, Path and Keen are both going to be in a good position once DRS is enabled. They might be able to just do simple DRS overtakes on the leaders.
Young is starting to get extremely aggressive. He's looking every which way on that on Path's Williams, and he can tell he's gonna. I bet he's gonna go full. Yep, here he goes, full overtake. There's DRS. There's no DRS in this lap. That's unfortunate. Path now seeing that BWT Racing Point. He's dive bombing. Oh, played it.
Beer Boost and Danny make contact behind him now. Danny had to check up because the maneuver had to check up as well, and that let Beer Boost come right up to striking zone against the Renault.
Beer Boost seeing a way to get further ahead from his rival Ultimate. Is looking every which way to continue to climb through the order. It's definitely not been a decent lap for him so far, as now we come now to around 20 laps left in this race. It could be that Beard Boost makes up this time and gets some positions through him, and which can absolutely happen. And Danny can see that Haas on the S-Bends. It could be that this is Beer Boost's time to shine. Unlike Ultimate, is just incredibly aggressive, Beard Boost is fairly decently conservative. He likes to sit back and look where the best overtaking opportunity is, however, still being extremely quick.
King is closing in on Lowe, and Lowe is dropping off the back of Zola pretty significantly, but that Ferrari still doesn't have the DRS that he can utilize. Young Maneuver is right there beneath MCR Path. They're going to be neck and neck, so you move Young Maneuver up into the 4th position, assuming that Path doesn't make a crossover move. In the hairpin, is the Williams going to try it? He's thinking of it, but thinks better of it, and again, Danny gets held up by the battle ahead, but this time Beard Boost wasn't close enough to make a move back, so Danny's position a little bit safer this time. But Young Maneuver putting those soft tires to the task. DRS has been enabled, so when we get to the back straightaway next time, it's going to get very interesting. Lowe needs to do everything he can to close the gap on Zola so he doesn't get overtaken easily by the Ferrari behind. Young Maneuver, it doesn't even care about DRS. He's already right there on the back of the Ferrari of Kane. He wants to make these overtakes desperately and rapidly.
It's definitely going to have to be soon because of around under 20 laps left to go. Young is seeing that it's very much a single swim situation, and that is the showing of Ultimate's aggressiveness now having the fastest lap of the race, and he's in last because of his pit stop, but he is making up that time like a madman. That is just incredible of how well he's making up the time, but it is sort of slow for him as he's still trying to climb back. But Path trying to find a way back through Young Maneuver. Young Maneuver still in the backside of King in the Ferrari. King watching that PWT of Young. Here comes Young on the outside. Is he gonna make the move stick? That's gonna be
neck and neck.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. We'll have DRS coming onto the front stretch, though. He's still on the inside, neck and neck. He has to let up just a bit, but he will have DRS on this straightaway. This is his best chance to get by the Ferrari, and there's one of the cars off, and that's Seal. Seal goes around the same area that he went off in qualifying.
However, fortunately, he doesn't take his right front off. Only mainly.
Young Maneuver has completed his pass on King. Now Young Maneuver has only 2 cars ahead of him, and he's on much faster tires than both of them.
Wait a minute, did you see debris as Steel wrecked? Because it looks to me that like the front of Steel's Mercedes is fine.
I saw debris, but I think what I saw was one of the signboards on the side just getting knocked over. Like the little DRS thing, DRS activation sign thing getting destroyed. I didn't see any damage from the car itself.
Absolutely, and now this is a proper full grid train of cars. Ultimate still being the outlier, and Steel slowly starting to fade away from the pack. It's definitely interesting to see Steel just slowly starting to lose it. Herbie, fortunately, is still with the pack.
Young Maneuver is continuing his fight up. He's got DRS on Low. The thing is, right now, Low had a better exit coming onto the back straightaway. It doesn't matter. Wow, last minute dive bomb.
That's a bit of contact from Young Maneuver and Low as they kiss tires. Young is going full aggressive, pretty much like Ultimate, what we saw earlier. However, it seems also there's a bit of conservatism in Young's racecraft, so it seems that he's still trying to run it through.
Keen also, and now Keen is fighting back, going through turn 1, neck and neck for the 4th and 5th positions. But the Williams has the preferred lane of choice in the hairpin. It doesn't matter, the Ferrari is still fighting back, coming out, and it's gonna be the Williams out ahead, but just barely. He pushes the Ferrari off the track. The Ferrari is still there. He's gonna make a dive bomb going into the hairpin, neck and neck, and the Ferrari still has his nose ahead. The Williams is able to put the power down. Twitch is under, powering the power down. He's got to fall back in line behind King now. And now Young Maneuver is right there within a quarter of a second of Low. The tires aren't going to last that much longer for Young. He needs to make these overtakes and make them now if he wants to start seriously altering his finishing position in the race. He's right there behind Low, going down the short chute. He will most definitely have DRS if he can maximize his exit onto the back straightaway.
Absolutely insanity is going on.
Zola made a mistake! Zola made a mistake coming onto the back straightaway! Low is 5 by 7 with Zola! The battle for a lead is here! Young Maneuver is back to have it for just a minute, but he has DRS! Now he's gonna make a dive bomb on Zola! Going into the hairpin at the end of the back straightaway! Neck and neck for a second position! Zola! And now Low makes a mistake! He looks up! Down 10 side by side between second and third position! And Zola is gonna hold on the top side! Just for the moment, they're all gonna have DRS on Zola now as they come out of the final corner and down the front straightaway! Zola has the worn to older tires though. Zola has the slower tires compared to Low, and for the moment it's going to be Low in the top position.
Good Lord. Just all sorts of craziness happening here in Shanghai, especially in the front. Zola with that mistake is going to cost
Young Maneuver's there! Young Maneuver's side by side now. I'm sorry, didn't make clear. Young Maneuver's is making the overtaking. Young Maneuver is on the outside, hairpin, and Zola has the preferred line, but the soft tires are going to give Young Maneuver a little bit of an advantage. He's able to put the power down a little bit quicker, neck and neck for the second position, and now you move Young Maneuver up to the second spot. He has a little bit more than a second out from Low. If he can close in that gap just a little bit, he might be able to utilize DRS and make a dive bomb on Low at the end of the back straightaway. He's already closed it down. It's now within a quarter of a second, now less than a quarter of a second between first and second position, as they're going to come up to the DRS detection zone here.
Absolutely just incredible by Young, how he's just making his softs worth the while, and now getting into second position. Now looking straight ahead at Low's Papaya rear wing. He's going to be trying to see how any way he can find a way, and yeah, I'm going to guess it's dive bomb. And he's gonna fortunately keep it in. 3-second time penalty for Ultimate, still in the rear. He is a. If there's ever a sign for a F1 driver being a mad dog, that is a mad dog right here. Ultimate getting a 3-second time penalty. Low now coming on. Here Young comes down through T1. Will Young be able to stick it? It looks like he will. Low is still trying to fight back, although he does have Zola to defend behind. Low is still now in between the Red Bull and the Racing Point, so it will be definitely interesting to see if Low can somehow make it back up. Low trying to outbreak Young, as Young now is in P1. However, it's going to be detrimental to him when he comes to the pits. However, it is lap 41 out of 56. Anything could happen at this point. But Young will have to pit maybe soon because of how quickly the softs degrade. And this will put him with that entire train of cars at the back of the grid, and that will just be havoc for him.
Zola is now the another driver that Lowe has to be focused on because Zola is on the same tire compound that Lowe is. Both of those drivers are anticipating making it to the end without stopping again. And Zola is now going to be within DRS range of Lowe. Farther behind, Danny in the Renault is now closing in on Keen. He'll have DRS. I don't think he'll make the dive bomb this lap, but he's there. So we're having basically two different serious battles going on right now. A battle between second and third, and then a battle between fourth all the way down to seventh, as that's a little bit of a DRS train. Herbie has just gotten by Beard Boost at the end of the back straightaway, but now Beard Boost is going to fight back. These two have been fighting for a while, and Beard Boost, we thought he would be able to make his way up to the field, but if anything, this yellow flag has helped Herbie. He's now back in points pay position, as he's scrapping with Beard Boost almost since the restart.
Absolutely, Herbie is just wishing to capitalize on the safety car yellow flag that we got from Venom when he retired from the session, and he's just trying to make it worthwhile as he overtook Beard Boost, and he's just trying to make his way through the grid. And it's incredible to see Beard Boost is now struggling. By now, he would either be at either in the middle of the grid or near the front. But no, that hasn't happened today. Young is still up in front, and so far is starting to make a pretty large gap in front of Lowe. However, he has to do that, otherwise him switching to the soft compound tires will not have been worth it. Young, though, is still relentless. He's just going to try and keep as much distance he's going to have from Lowe and Zola, as the Lowe and Zola are still now in a bit of a fight of their own.
DRS pops open on the Red Bull of Zola. He's going to make a dive bomb to the inside of Lowe, coming into the hairpin.
Oh, extremely
Zola
slow.
thinks better of it and backs out. That's going to keep Lowe ahead of Zola for the moment, but I think it's very clear to anyone watching right now, Zola is the faster driver. He wants to make this overtaking. He wants to make it clean, though. A little bit farther back is Submit. No, MCR Path has DRS on Danny, but Danny has DRS on Keen, and none of these three have really been able to make a smooth stick against each other, though.
Absolutely, it's just been basically stalemate between Danny and Path. Now that now currently 9 laps of this race, but Path needs to make a move, or he's going to be regulated back into 6th, because Penku is at the back of Path. If he does make a mistake, Penku will be there to catch it. So is but a little bit far behind is Herbie. Ultimate now 17 seconds behind Steel, which is once again extremely odd to see, because you know Ultimate is extremely aggressive, but he's just trying to make the time back up. But it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. This race is running out too quickly for Ultimate, and it seems that he's gonna have to stay without points if the race continues as is. However, Zola is looking to overtake back on Lowe through the hairpin. It doesn't. Oh, there's a bit of a squealing of the tires from Zola as they now come through the final section of the course, as DRS is now activated in Zola's cockpit.
Penkuo's going to make a move on Path coming into turn 1. He looks to the outside and then thinks better of it, falls back in line. Now he's going to try and do a crossover. He's there. It's going to force the Williams a little bit wide, but the Williams will have the preferred line of choice in the slowest part in Sector 1. So Path will still stay ahead of Penkuo for the moment, but Penkuo definitely is there, definitely has the ability to get past the car ahead of him. He just needs to time it properly.
Absolutely, timing is everything. If Ultimate, or if Young would have, I forgot during this race, but somebody, if they could have timed their pit stop maybe a little bit better, it could have maybe given them either the top 3 or maybe even P1. But so far, Young Maneuver is still up in P1, followed by Lowe, followed by Zola, followed by Keenan, followed by Danny. this race has become absolutely insane, to say the least.
I think one thing that we need to take note of, though, is that Young Maneuver is actually now, the softs have dropped off. He is now losing time to Lowe and Zola. So there's a very high likelihood that we will see that McLaren and the Red Bull take back the top two spots for the next 5 to 6 laps. A little bit farther back, the train of cars from Keene back to pit row. The big thing that's hampering them is that Danny does not have very good exits out of the corners. So he may have DRS on the straights, but it's not mattering because Keene has just good enough of an exit on the straights that it's not mean anything can happen. So everyone's just kind of stuck where they are between 4th and 7th. And then a little bit farther back from that, Steele, despite wrecking earlier, has actually closed in on Beard Boost, so Beard Boost must not be feeling comfortable with that hot seat. However, he has dropped off the back of Herbie, and now Steele, who wrecked shortly after the restart, not significantly tolling the car, but went around and hit the wall. Now Steele is actually closing in on Beard Boost.
You say that Steele went a little bit wide, at least from what I saw.
No, you saw that absolutely right. You called that perfectly. That's what they call the commentator's curse, I guess.
Steele, I saw a little bit a while back as he went through the hairpin. He was going a little bit on the gravel. I reckon the little front wing damage, as I can now see on the front of Steele's car, could be playing a little bit of havoc with his handling, in which handling is absolutely needed for a track like this. Even though Danny is in fact in 5th, it could be possible that he could make it up.
Yeah, maneuver in the pit lane. He needs to get off those soft tires. He might throw on another set of softs to go to the end of the race. The big thing, though, is that there's a high likelihood that Young Maneuver is going to drop completely out of the top 10.
It could be absolutely possible. But as I was saying before, Danny, and Path haven't gotten any penalties yet. And this could play a bit of an advantage to them if they are just continuing to stay with the race leaders. And they could maybe somehow find a way to get into that P1 spot.
Alright, this is going to be where it gets interesting. Young Maneuver has fallen back to 9th. He's behind Beard Boost, but like I anticipated, Young Maneuver is on soft tire compound, so he can go full bore to the end. Well, he's already going full bore to the end, trying to make an overtake on Beard Boost in the hairpin where there wasn't any room. Yeah, he's going to try and walk by Beard Boost.
A little bit of grass, and he's not going to make the maneuver. However, he is on the. I mean, that is
DRS
close.
On the back straight. He doesn't need to be this extreme this quickly. I know time is running out, but there's no chance that Young's going to fight for the race win, so he just needs to be smart going up against Beard Boost here.
Absolutely. Ultimate still nowhere to be seen. Somehow he got 34 seconds behind Steele. I don't know what happened. Oh.
Ultimate pitted, because remember, he had that contact and wing damage under the yellow flag, so he pitted. Beard Boost pinching Young Maneuver all the way to the inside. The Tracing Point's still gonna get by, but oh wow! Still an ultimate. I mean, still a Beard Boost make contact, and now Steele and Beard Boost both make contact, and both get knocked sideways. I don't know how those two cars didn't get taken out.
I reckon a miracle has been performed. Now Steele getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Beard Boost, Steele, and Young, and that's sector 1 yellow flag.
Path has gone around now. And now Path is going to get overtaken by Herbie, and Path will be the next driver that Young Maneuver will set his sights on.
Just absolutely a frenzy going on here in this Chinese Grand Prix. Once again, Danny still being in 4th, and he still doesn't have any penalties on him, in which, once again, could play as a bit of a victory for him in the final laps of this race, as now we are, as low comes on next time by, it'll now be lap 48 out of 56 laps.
Lowe has been the most aggressive driver on track all day, and it has paid off. He is in the top position. Zola has been a little bit faster throughout Sector 1 and Sector 2, but when it comes into the straightaways, Lowe is fast enough that it's keeping him ahead. Now, Keen and Danny are in a little bit of a fight. Keen is going to hold on to the top position, but Danny has DRS, and he might be able to utilize it and get by the Ferrari going down the straightaway here.
Yes, indeedy. It with now 48 laps. That means around I'm gonna go ahead and say around 9 laps to go. Around 8 rather.
It's basically 9 laps to go because you also have to count the lap you're currently on.
Yeah.
Beard Boost is coming to the pits. I'm guessing to repair damage or something. So Steel is now, without a doubt, has the 9th place position. Young Maneuver is trying to race up what's basically a 5-second deficit between himself and MCR Path. That would be a fight for the 7th position. Path is there behind Herbie and wants to make up the ground that he lost earlier. Penkuo is within about a second of Danny, but hasn't really been able to make anything happen to him. And then further up in the field, the big real battle that we're focusing on is Zola and Lowe. They're very, very close to each other in some parts of the track, but when it comes onto the straight where it matters the most, Lowe opens up a gap and is keeping Zola behind him. And like you were saying about Danny, I looked at the penalties. Zola has 8 seconds worth of penalty. Danny having none means that Danny might be able to get vaulted into the podium positions if the race stays with the gaps that we're currently seeing on track.
Hey, while I'm looking at that, that might be extremely likely because, as I said, there's around 8 laps left, and this could play as just an absolute stealer for Danny to take the win. Because of the pit stop, now Ultimate getting put back into P10, so he now has a single point to gain if he cannot catch up. If he can't catch up to Steel. Steel, unfortunately, is kind of slowing and now being in a bit of a race of his own. The real midfield race is still going on though. It's still going on strong. Danny trying to find every single way near King and past him. But of course, King is blocking Danny off from the fight between Zola and Lowe. Lowe getting a bit onto the grass there as they continue going through the S-bends on lap 49. It's just so crazy, and it's even more crazy of how quickly this Grand Prix has come and gone. I feel like only a couple of minutes ago we were on lap 27.
Alright, I feel like I've actually been here this entire time. It says lap 49, yeah, it feels like it's been about 49 laps. I guess I'm not suffering the effects of time dilation.
Yeah, I bet this happens with other commentators better than others. Zola looking on the inside. Oh, he's not going to make it though. He's just going to continue to just absolutely intimidate Lowe and seeing if any
He's got DRS on the straight this time. As he's within a quarter of a second. This may be Zola's chance to make the overtake on that.
Yep, here he comes.
On the inside, but he hits the grass. It's going to compromise his speed in the corner just a little bit. But it doesn't matter. Move the Red Bull to the top spot. Now the McLaren's going to try and fight back. Try and do a crossover. Doesn't matter too much. Now Zola in the top position. And Zola is taking the lead back. But again, Zola has 8 seconds worth of penalties. Lowe has 3. So he needs to open up roughly a 5-second gap over Lowe to keep the position over him.
Absolutely. It's so tense during the final laps of the race. It seems that Zola, with him taking that absolute fantastic move up the inside of T1, however, maybe a little bit sloppy, but he took it nonetheless. Oh, that's a little bit wide on the S-bend. That's going to give Lowe a bit of a chance to come back at him to continue their little scrap for first place. But the thing is, in the end, will this work? Because Danny, as I've said, now he's the only one with no penalties. I think Young Maneuver, Young Maneuver got, no, I was talking about Mr. Path. Mr. Path got one. So yeah, that definitely Danny's definitely playing clean today this weekend, and is just absolutely benefiting him, just like mad. As Low now as DRS activated, he's going to be looking to do what Zola did to him a lap prior, but it won't seem to be because Zola seems to be a little bit far out for Low. And,
MCR Path is now right there on Herbie. They're going to be neck and neck down the back straightaway, and they know they need to make these moves now because Young Maneuver is still on relatively fresh sauce and is coming fast. Neck and neck. Williams versus Mercedes going through turns 1 and 2 now. The Williams has the advantage on the inside, but the Mercedes has a much better exit. It's still the Mercedes who's going to be chasing the Williams, but only for the moment. Path is now ahead of Herbie, and Young Maneuver is now within that little gap. Ooh, Herbie into the dirt, and he's going to get a time penalty from that. Now Young Maneuver is right there. He needs to figure out when he wants to make this move on the cars ahead of him, because if he times it wrong, he runs the risk of losing significant time at the end of the straightaways from the other drivers doing defensive dive bombs.
Yes, absolutely. With continuing pressure from Zola by Low, with only around 5 laps to go, it's either sink or swim now for Low. However, he has to just absolutely gun it towards the line and keep it there. Otherwise, Danny will just absolutely streak by and take the victory. So they also have to fend off from not only each other but also a car that's around one car back position.
Here comes Young Maneuver. He's making his move now. Back there in the 7th position. Neck and neck for 7th. He's on the outside. He still has relatively softs. And even with both cars having DRS, he's going to drag race the Mercedes out there. The Mercedes is going to try and fight back. 3 Mercedes-powered cars from different teams, all in a fight there in Sector 1. Young Maneuver is now by the factory Mercedes. He sets his sights on MCR Path and the Williams machine now.
Indeed, with the definitely the final several laps of this race is not becoming a boring one with this little pack of 3 cars as they're all fighting, and also with the little up front battle between King, Danny, and Penku. So now as we come on to the backstretch, Zola is starting to absolutely fly away from Low. But if Low has anything to say about it, it's going to be in these final few laps, because Low does not want to just simply get P2. He's going to be pushing all the way with his cars, now being 20 laps old, around as old as Zola's, as they now come on to around 3 laps left.
The battle continues for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Young Maneuver has completed the dive bomb at the end of the straight. Now MCR Path, though, is going to have DRS on him down the straightaway. Herbie made a huge mistake there coming out of the final corner. He's going to lose touch. Will Path be able to make a dive bomb? He's thinking of it, but he's not able to make it stick. It looks like Young Maneuver is up to 6, but with him being 9.5 seconds off of Penku, it looks like 6 is about as high as that Racing Point is going to get. The decision to switch on the softs while everyone else was on mediums and hards definitely made for an interesting race, but it's definitely not helped when it came to his in-race position. Actually, it may have just a bit. He might have ended up being caught up in someone else's mess, so he's probably about the area he would have been if he stayed on mediums anyway. A little bit farther up, though, you were talking earlier about the battle between 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Danny continues to be about 3/4 off of King. Can't make anything happen, but he doesn't really need to. The top 2 are not far enough away yet that Danny won't get a potential extra spot from Zola, and even if that doesn't happen, Danny is guaranteed 3rd because he has no penalties. King still has them. And up front, though, Zola still has 5 seconds worth of penalties more than Low. Because of that, Low is more than likely going to walk out of here your race winner.
Absolutely, but it could be that somehow, some way, Danny somehow gets out of this race, it still is plausible that Danny has an unexpected either pit stop or otherwise. But it's just everything to play for here with all of the softs still being pretty young with young and ultimates tires being around the same lap. Beard Boost still has the youngest tires in the field. However, it could be that either Danny pulls off the win here, or something else is going to have to happen to stop him, because there's pretty much no other way, because of how many penalties all the other drivers have accumulated. It's just going to play havoc with them, as Danny might be able to take the win here at China.
Looking at it real quickly, so right now as it stands, Zola is now almost 9 seconds ahead of Danny, so right now Danny is only positioning himself to get third. Zola is looking to get second, and Lowe is more likely going to take home the race win. There's just not enough time for Zola to open up a 5-second gap over Lowe in these closing 2.5, about two, well, I'll say 2 1/10 of a lap.
Yeah, I'd say that'd be fair. So we'll see.
Ooh, Pinkwell nearly spins the car coming out of the hairpin. He had the DRS on Danny, was trying to make something happen, but spat the car a little bit sideways. Now he's going to lose touch with that Renault just a little bit down the straight.
I mean, in the dying laps of this race, now coming on to the penultimate lap, it seems that everybody's just trying to get in their final positions and finish well, but it will be hard for Penku to overtake Danny, because Danny, once again, with no penalties, that's going to play a very large role in his victory, or at least getting in the top 3 spots. Because King knows it. I bet knows in the back of his mind that, right, Danny's right behind me. I have to keep him behind me. I might not be able to make top 3, but I will be able to stay on the top 5. And I think that'll be enough for me. I thought I saw somebody else get a 3-second time penalty. Who was that?
Yep, that's Steele. Steele now has another time per second penalty, and with Beard Boost right behind him, only having 6 versus Steele's 15, Beard Boost is in position to walk out of this race with points. Also, I just want to say real quickly for Herbie, absolutely outstanding job. Languished way off the pace most of the day. Although he has 12 seconds worth of penalties, he's way ahead of Ultimate, Steele, and Beard Boost behind him. It's very much likely that Herbie's going to walk out here with a respectable amount of points. So good job on him for being able to do that.
Right, and here we come for the final time, final lap here at Shanghai for the rest of the grid. Zola coming down first. It seems that Lowe is starting to slowly a bit lose touch with him. However, those penalties coming in play, it could continue to still be Lowe's victory. So yeah, very much a quiet end to the race, at least for the front anyways. I thought I just saw a position change, and I think that was Young. No, I thought that was Young on low. Young on path. Ultimate getting another 3-second time penalty. It's just, I feel like he's a sponge, and 3-second time penalties are water, and he's just, you know, sponging up the water.
Beard Boost has just overtaken Steele on the backstretch with a DRS overtake. So, and now, here's the thing, Beard Boost is within roughly 3 seconds of Ultimate ahead. He only has 6 seconds of penalties, Ultimate has 9, so Beard Boost might end up actually vaulting himself up into 9th for the end of this race. That would be an interesting little thing. But meanwhile, back at the front, I'm looking at Lowe, I'm looking at Zola. It's still 5-second difference between them when it comes to penalties. The gap between first and second is 3.7 seconds, so it looks like Zola is going to lose this race in final time by about a second. Zola just can't seem to win, but I'm sure he'll take a second. And it will still be a McLaren. Venom dominated the opening stages of the race, but it was the aggressiveness of Lowe that's going to bring him the victory. Coming to the line, King will cross the line third, but Danny will actually take home third. Pinkwell will be in 5th. Young Maneuvers coming out and will come home in 6th after probably making more stops than anyone else in the field, I believe.
Then here comes Path in 7th, Herbie in 8th, and now we wait now for Ultimate Beer Boost in Steel, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Ultimate now is a fairly low fuel.
Ultimate's going to get a point, I think, for fastest lap in the race, so very good job on him, despite not being competitive at all in the event. Well, I shouldn't say not at all. He had some moments where he was putting on a decent show, but he didn't really fight near the front. But he'll at least get that pity point. Beard Boost will take home 9th and steal the only driver to not take home a point in the event. So it's got to be very frustrating for him.
Absolutely, and driver of the day being low, I feel like he deserves that, personally.
I agree.
I mean, he started fairly either around midfield, and he made it all the way up to first place, and you just have to give his relentlessness of just persevering through and finally taking the win. And here are all the drivers on the podium. And
so we are in an interesting scenario because of that situation where Ultimate hit Zola under the safety car. Depending on how it goes, Zola may have 5 seconds worth of penalties removed. If that happens, Zola might still walk out of here with this race win. So we don't actually know who's going to have this win yet. It could either be Low or Zola. We're going to wait on the officials to give word on that. But I'm going to invite both of them into the party and see what both of them have to say, because one of them is going to end up being our race winner. All right, well, good morning, Low, or evening, afternoon, I don't know where you live, but cross the line second. We don't know if you've won yet or not, though, because there are still penalties that may or may not be changed.
Yeah, I think.
But Zola, go ahead. What do you have to say? Low, what do you have to say about your race today?
Oh, man, great fucking race today. Today was an amazing race. Except for I think that Zola got hit from behind during safety car. I think there's a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, it's been removed already. Yeah, it's been removed already. Yeah.
It looks like Zola will be the winner of this race for sure. But it was such an intense race. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, so it worked
this,
for that. We both did there. We both fought each other right to the end, as much as we could. I tried putting you under pressure, and then you made a mistake, and I went in the side, and I got cut off. It's like, oh, really? Just
and
move.
we fought side by side, which was beautiful. There was no like hitting. Oh, just such a good race.
that safety race. That safety car though was naughty.
Yeah.
Because I think he's going to be punished severely for that because he did it on purpose. I had an 18-second lead when he did that.
Oh wow.
So
that felt
pretty
dirty from Ultimate. I think it was mainly.
Not Ultimate. That was Venom.
Oh.
Ultimate was just scratching his head and went straight in the back of me on the safety car. That's what he hit me for, because he was scratching his head. I was in a party with him.
Oh,
so I was a mistake.
I will say this, Zola. It was a very interesting seeing you spat with the McLarens all day long, and for you, Lo, I just want to say we were watching you from basically the start of the race to the end. Probably the most successful and aggressive driver on the racetrack all day. You guys both absolutely earned.
Thank you so much.
It was a great fun, I'd say, because I had fights with Venom, then Venom did that, then I had fights with Low. I was worried about King though, because he was coming, and all of a sudden his mediums just died with like last 5-10 laps. And he dropped like 8 or 9 seconds. So as soon as that happened with him and Danny as well, because Danny was going to get there as well with no time penalties. So I was looking at that, and then I seen that it was slowly dropping off. So I knew I was clear of them. I was trying to get the 5 seconds just to make it so I had it anyway. But yeah, say Low, really, as I say, he may work
the pace. Yeah. If I was in the Benz, I would have been gone.
That's true, yeah. So I say it was a great race, guys. I say it really was.
Great race, Zola. GG, man.
Hard work. That was hard work. Bloody hot now as well. But yeah, that was a great race. I enjoyed that.
Drenched.
Yeah. Next week I'll be a back marker as Britain, so there we go. I'll be back marker next week.
There you go.
All right. Well, anyways, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you, Insane.
Thank you, very fantastic show.
Yeah, say thank you guys for doing this as well. And hopefully we'll have more people next week. We should do. So.
All right. Well, anyways, that's pretty much going to start wrapping up our race here at Shanghai. In a week's time, we will be going to Britain. That will be an interesting event. High speed and high acceleration focused circuit. Very different than what we're used to here at Shanghai. But anyways, Root Beer, if you're still here, do you have anything else you want to say before we start wrapping up today's broadcast?
I do. If you're watching this on the Twitch on Twitch Live, please follow us to get constant every weekend as we go lights out next week, as well as the restarting of the XRRL series, the standard XRRL series that is. And if you're watching this in post, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell, same thing to get notified of all of the things that happen next weekend. As well as please share with your friends and give a nice like to show you enjoyed it. But yeah, that's gonna be it between me and Insane.
Announcement quickly. We've got an all-star race on Sunday, 5 p.m. All-star race. Insane and Caesar and Kendu watching. It'll be the top 20 drivers in all 4 tiers. Will be racing on Sunday, 5 p.m. UK time around Japan.
Alright, well you heard it here folks, please do go ahead and tune into that. We'll all be looking forward to that. But anyways, that's going to pretty much wrap up our broadcast here today. Once again, I want to thank XRL and XRRL for letting me go ahead and do the coverage. Absolutely love being able to broadcast these races. And we'll be looking forward to everyone in a week's time here